Karen Bragg led off the top of the first for St. Louis with a double to right center. Edgar Renteria walked, and so now it's 1 out, 2 on, and the red-hot Ray Lankford stepping in. A couple of homers last night, Ray Knight, at Wrigley Field, and he almost hit one out his first time on a fly ball the wind knocked down.
Yeah, he's really gotten hot. Talking to Tony Russo last week when we were there in St. Louis, he's starting to keep that front shoulder in and drive the ball the other way in batting practice. And Ray's always been a very tough out when he stays on the ball and doesn't rip that shoulder off the ball.
9 home runs in 93 at-bats already. Started the season a little bit late because of off-season knee surgery. And a 1-1 pitch, changeup. He was way out ahead of that Brian Meadows delivery. Meadows 4-4 on the year for the Marlins. His ERA 4.7, but he started the season 3-0.
You know, he has a really good pitch assortment. He throws that fastball 89 to 92 depending on whether or not he's going to ride it or sink it. He's got a nice overhand knuckle curveball that goes straight down. Then he complements that with a changeup. Pitching coach Rick Duty has added a little cutter that he throws to the left-handers exclusively to try to get a little bit on his hands. But I like Brian Meadows from Montgomery, Alabama, just 23 years old.
Lankford hits one to right center. This one will probably clear the bases. Home to score is Bragg. Renteria, the former Marlin, right behind him. And on Ray Lankford's 17th and 18th RBIs, St. Louis takes a 2-0 lead.
When Ray Lankford goes gap to gap, he is very nasty. Tough to get out. That nice little bit of lift, uppercut on the ball there, staying behind the ball very well, driving the ball out there. And Edgar Renteria did a great job here, getting almost to second base and coasting in on a ball that didn't get through the gap, actually cut off out there in center field.
Ray Lankford's 8th double of the year. 2-0 Cardinals. Fernando Tatis steps in with 42 runs batted in. There's that curve that drops in. St. Louis hitting .265, 10th in the National League. Cardinals are 4th in runs, 5th in home runs. Thomas Howard, Eli Marrero, Joe McEwing, and then the pitcher Ken Bottenfield to follow Fernando Tatis. Karen Bragg led off with the double to right center, adding to his .361 on base average. Then Renteria, the World Series hero here a couple of years ago, got the base on balls. In fact, Meadows went ball 3 on all 3 hitters to start off before he struck out McGuire. And that was the GM starting lineup for the Cardinals. They've hit 60 home runs and slumping just a bit over the last week or so. Ray and Chris saw the Giants take care of them last week. Cardinals did manage to salvage a 12-inning game on Thursday to avoid being swept. But then they were swept over the weekend at Wrigley Field. 0-2 to Tatis, who's already hit 14 home runs. And he pops it up short right field. Sun blazing off the glasses of Counsell, and he's got it for the second out. '23-year-old right-hander Brian Meadows, 11 wins last year. He was #1 of National League rookies, pitching over 170 innings. And his 11-13 record, at least the win part of that, did set a Marlin record for a rookie pitcher. He was once 3-0 with an ERA of 2.53 earlier this season. The rest of the rotation at that time was 2-9. With an ERA of over 6. He was getting very good and still is getting very good run support. Veteran Thomas Howard was called up by the Cardinals from Memphis when J.D. Drew ended up down there on a rehab assignment with a pulled quad. And a half swing. It goes out to second base. Craig Counsell. Meadows battles back. A 29 pitch inning. He gets the last 2 batters after Lankford's 2-run double. The Marlins against Ken Bottenfield next. Marlin fans were standing with their flags waving during the national anthem on this Memorial Day, May 31st. Welcome back to Pro Player Stadium. And the Marlins hitting at .251. They are second to last in a lot of offensive categories, and running the ball club in John Bull's absence is Freddie Gonzalez, calling the shots from the dugout with some help from the skipper, who's got a bad neck. Craig Counsell leads off, and then young Alex Gonzalez, who they really love at shortstop. Veteran Cliff Floyd. Kevin Millar's been tearing it up lately. Mark Kotsay, the right fielder. Preston Wilson, a 10-game hitting streak. He's 18 for 39 with 10 RBIs during that time. Mike Lowell, the former Yankee minor league star. George Fabregas and Meadows. Kent Bottenfield for St. Louis with a 7-2 record, making his 11th start.
Yeah, really got off to a great start. His last couple of outings struggled a little bit. He's averaged 5.2 innings per start. Left-handers are hitting 260 off of him. Right-handers 309 with 5 home runs. You see the 63 hits there in 57 innings, so he doesn't blow a lot of people away. But Tony La Russa told me the other day that he is the hardest preparing pitcher that he's ever managed, including Dave Stewart and Bob Welch. Eckersley says that he just is a student of the game. He looks at film day in and day out, has an idea when he goes out there on the mound, how he's going to work hitters, what a hitter's weakness is, what he's most apt to hit hard, and tries to pitch into the teeth of his defense. Tony knows a little bit about working hard.
Yes, he does. 3 pennants in the American League, a world championship, and a called strike as Bottenfield fans Craig Counsell, who's really struggling, batting 135, and his on-base average is under 200.
Yeah, some talk about a trade for Counsell. And here we see the Cardinals defense out there. Joe McEwing played every position but pitcher and catcher. Most of his starts have come at second base. But solid little player. Got to see him last week, met him last week. What a joy to be around.
Delightful kid. And he is considered the third-string catcher, by the way.
Oh,
if they go beyond Marrero and Alberto Castillo. He's out of Bristol, PA. 6 or 7 years in the minor leagues makes you appreciate being here. McEwing is that kind of kid. Bottenfield working ahead now. He's 0-2 on another Rookie of the Year candidate. We've got 2 of them on the diamond today playing. On the infield, Alex Gonzalez at 283 with 6 home runs. Bottenfield had him reaching on 0-2.
Alex is one of those players that has all kinds of ability, great range at shortstop, really soft hands. Everything looks real easy to him. Has some pop in his bat. Hits a lot of balls to right center field, which is good. There you see what I think is a Rookie of the Year battle there. Pretty close.
Yes, it is. And Gonzalez, he's going to learn how to play shortstop at this level. He's made 9 errors already. McEwing, playing all over the place, has made 4. RBI total about the same. Home runs 6-3. 0-2 pitch. And a pop fly over to guess who? They call him Little Joe, Little Mac, and McEwing's got it for the second out. That'll bring up Cliff Floyd, who's got a hot bat going. You'll be delighted, folks, if you haven't seen Joe McEwing bat yet. Just watching him in the batter's box. We have a saying in St. Louis, he makes coffee nervous. Here's Floyd, who's 9 for 28 over his 7-game hitting streak. And the pitch is over but low.
Well, Cliff Floyd is one of the players I really enjoy watching. I got to see him down in my hometown in Albany, Georgia, when he was with the Expos and played down there in A-ball.
High fly ball left center. Ray Lankford playing left field until his knee is 100%. And the wind blows it back in. There's a hard wind blowing from the ocean at about 15 miles an hour from right field. And a 1-2-3 first for Bottenfield after he got the 2-run lead. St. Louis Cardinals, an average age of 29.5 years on this ball club. The Marlins, in contrast, under 26.5. But one of the young players St. Louis banks on for the future is their catcher, Eli Marrero. Batting average down a little bit right now at 233. He's got some power. He's a good base runner, and he is outstanding defensively. Fastball rides high. He's one of the projects of Mike Easler, the new St. Louis hitting coach.
Yeah, I really like the St. Louis collection of young players. Renteria, Tatis, Marrero, J.D. Drew, who we'll talk about a little bit later. McEwing.
And Marrero pops it up over to the right side. Millard, the first baseman, well off the line to catch that one.
And you've got a great defensive shortstop in Renteria. Been in the league 4 years, and everybody thinks that he's getting to be an old fella, but you got to realize he started playing when he's 19, still under 25 years old. And then Tatis, you got a lot of power there. J.D. Drew, a lot of power. Marrero, more of a doubles type hitter, but very solid behind the plate. We talked about McEwing. I think the problem with the Cardinals are that their young pitchers, their best young pitchers, were injured. Alan Bennis and Matt Morris, two of the, I'm talking best young arms that I saw come down the pike in a long, long time, and both of those guys are injured. What's the story on Alan Bennis?
Alan Bennis has been throwing 3 or 4 times now. Reports no pain. Now there's a serious jam job as Joe McEwing had Brian Meadows get right in on his bat handle, and a little bitty line drive for Mike Lowell, 2 down. But the Cardinals are very encouraged about Alan Bennis. In fact, he's telling people he may want to pitch rehab after the All-Star break.
Yeah, you see a little sideways movement in that fastball there. Meadows has to have movement. That ball ends up about 6 inches off the plate, and there's no way to hit that ball solidly unless you pull it foul.
Meadows has a chance for an easy second. He threw 29 pitches in the first inning. Kent Bottenfield at the plate, 3 for 22 this year, a 174 career batter.
Well, talking about Alan Bennis, Dave Duncan felt that of the young players that he has had, pitchers that he's had, that Alan Bennis was the most advanced at an early age as far as being able to locate, knowing how to pitch. It's good that he's healthy.
Counsell throws out Bottenfield. So that's what Meadows needed. Only 9 pitches. Bottenfield only threw 11 in the bottom of the first. He'll go to work again. Well, since Mark McGwire became a Cardinal, you see a lot more St. Louis hats around baseball than ever before. Evidently, he's not only a Cardinal fan, but a graduate of the Bucky Dent Baseball School. Bucky, a pretty good Major League ball player, was a coach under Joe Torre for the Cards. And we go bottom 2. Kevin Millar will lead off, and he's picked right up where he left off at AAA Calgary when he was hitting .303 with 7 homers and 26 RBIs. He rocks one way foul heading into the upper deck. Ray, this guy put some numbers up a couple of years ago that I know you were very impressed with. He has got some power to spare.
Well, he surely did. 1997 in Portland, he had .342 with 34 doubles, 32 home runs, 131 RBI. And he goes up there hacking. And one thing that really impressed me, he's never struck out more times than he's walked. All-Star MVP there.
That's a pretty good Calgary ball club they have now. Todd Dunwoody's been sent down. Derek Lee is down there. And Millar hits it a mile high on the infield. Tatis calling it. Now Renteria takes charge. And that's 4 straight for Kent Bottenfield. They got some veteran players down there who can hack. Benji Gill, the former Texas shortstop prospect. We mentioned Dunwoody and Derek Lee. Mike Goulin, a longtime St. Louis infield prospect. Freddie Gonzalez watching his club operate from the dugout. John Bowles not able to really get in there on an everyday basis again yet. Kotsay on the first pitch from Bottenfield. A fly ball to center for Darren Bragg. And the Cardinals, whose starters don't normally go that far into ball games, have to be delighted at the low pitch number for 5 outs by this 30-year-old right-hander. They call him Hoss. In fact, he's got a picture of Dan Blocker in his locker that he travels with. Kent Bottenfield. Soft-spoken young man from Oregon. 5th full year in the major leagues in terms of service time. And he faces Preston Wilson. How about this young talent? Mookie's son doing the job right now, especially over the last 10 games, as we noted a few minutes ago.
Well, I've been hearing about Preston for a long time, as Mookie was a teammate of mine. Saw him toddling around the ballpark when he was just a wee tot.
Breaking ball hit out to left center. Bragg has to come in for it. And Ken Bottenfield cruises through his first 2 innings. 6 in a row on only 17 pitches. On the Langford double, 2-0 St. Louis. St. Louis dugout, Fernando Tatis clowning around with Placido Polanco, one of the Cardinals' backup infielders. Now we're going to the top of the 3rd here in Florida. 2-0 St. Louis on a Ray Langford 1-out double in the top of the 1st. It's Darren Bragg leading off, then Renteria, then Mark McGwire. We'll see if Brian Meadows can keep that momentum he grabbed last inning. 3 quick outs. Bragg, not your prototype leadoff man, doesn't run that fast. Did a lot of doubles at Fenway Park for the Red Sox. He lines this one out to center, and it's over the head of Preston Wilson. Bragg digging for 2. He will stay there with another double. At Fenway, he hit him to left center. Today he goes right center, then straight away for his pair of doubles.
I don't think Preston saw this ball well. He just did not get a good jump. The ball was right at him, and it ends up hitting about 20 feet short, and he just got a late jump. That ball doesn't even get near the warning track out there. Ball hit pretty hard. The wind looks like it's blowing in on fly balls that have been up in the air. The outfielders have all come in, and that might be why he's playing so shallow. He is absolutely playing shallow. We'll get a shot of that.
And it's down low to Edgar Renteria, who walked his first time up and then scored on the Langford double. There's Preston Wilson.
Tough outfield to play. You see his 404 just off of center field and 434 way back there in that corner.
Nice bunt by Renteria. Bare hand, Lowell, nice play. It'll go down as a sacrifice, though he was bunting for a hit. And Mark McGwire will step in with the runner at 3rd, 1 out. First time up, Mark McGwire a strikeout victim.
Meadows came with a fastball right down the middle after throwing McGwire a couple of big breaking balls that Mark fouled off, and then he just threw a fastball right there, and Mark just looked like he pulled off that ball a little bit.
McGwire 42 strikeouts on the year, 40 walks after his unbelievable 155 walks last year. 15 less than the all-time Babe Ruth record. He's had more of a home run bat going lately. McGwire has homered in 7 of his last 10 games now and has 15 on the year, and he's in the top 5 in the league all of a sudden.
A little bit unusual here with 1 out, infield back, just giving up this run on any kind of contact. The only person that has a chance at all to throw Darren out as a first baseman. Generally, with 1 out, you have your infield in, even if it is early in the game. I mean, the worst you're going to have is a single and run scored. The way this defense is playing, just automatically going to give up the run. Let's hit back to the pitcher.
1-1 pitch. McGwire pops it up, right field line. That is not catchable. It's a fair ball. Another run scores, and McGwire has an RBI double. A little Texas leaguer from a big fellow. That'll be his 37th RBI, and all 4 St. Louis hits now have been doubles.
Well, when McGwire hits the ball soft in the air, it's going to be a base hit. Everybody plays him so deep. They play him rank pull. You've seen some teams, the Cubs and the Astros, play 4 outfielders, but there he's got about 50, 60 yards down that right field line. Anything you dunk over there that big, look at him doing a little bit of sideways pirouette there.
Well, Mark told me this morning he's feeling very good. The foot's much better. They got the infection out of there before it became a staph infection. And he said, I feel very fortunate I only had to miss 1 game, because if that thing had gotten infected up into his lymph nodes, he said, I could have been out 1 or 2 months. And he credits Cardinal assistant trainer Brad Henderson with immediately spotting that problem when McGwire had a bad groin the other day. He's got a hole cut in his shoe to take some of the pressure off that foot. Langford line drive over the glove of Counsell. McGwire will stop at 3rd base with 1 out, and the Cardinals having their way with Brian Meadows. Let's check in quickly with Trey Wingo.
All right, Bob, in Pittsburgh, the Pirates going for their 4th straight, tied at 4 with the Dodgers in the 8th. Warren Morris comes up with a little blooper off Jamie Arnold, a little drop, and on the plate, Jason Kendall comes in, That's your game winner. Pirates 4 in a row, 5-4. Bob and Ray.
How about those Pirates? They're 3.5 back of the Astros. The Reds win today on ESPN. They're 3 back, and the Cubs and the Astros are not playing today. Chicago's won 4 straight. They're only a game back of Houston, and the Astros have lost 4 in a row. So the Central is really bunching up right now.
Pirates, another club with a lot of young talent.
Yes, they are. Here's Fernando Tatis, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. Tatis, top 6 in the league with his 14 homers, and he's in the top 5 with his 42 RBIs. Of course, 8 of those came in 1 inning in LA when he took Chan Ho Park deep twice for grand slams. Unbelievable. Back in the 3rd week of April. I mean, just to get to the plate twice in 1 inning is an accomplishment, and you figure 3 guys had to be on before he got up there the first time. So how many men had to bat in that inning?
A whole bunch.
And 11 of them scored.
Yeah, I was telling Boomer last week when we were at your game, I actually hit 2 home runs in 1 inning. One was a grand slam. And then another solo shot back in 1980. And I actually led the inning off with a home run. And then I come back around, 9 hitters later, and bases are loaded. And Boomer was saying it's been a long time before that record's broken. I said, let me tell you something. Some guy that hits 3 home runs and 3 grand slams in 1 inning.
In today's game, you never know.
You never know, do you? It's getting to be like softball, man. You get these guys up there, 3, 4, 5, 6 hitters at mercy.
I guarantee you one thing, if somebody hits 3 in 1 inning, it won't be off the same pitcher all 3 times. Somebody's going to have the hook out. Tatis on a curveball strikes out. So a big strikeout for Meadows. It was a Friday night at Dodger Stadium, Chan Ho Park, against Fernando Tatis. Now the first one, that was down the line. It was a no-doubter, way back in the bullpen.
Grand slam home run.
You're right, Vince Scully.
3-2 Tatis. Swing and a long one. There it is, folks. Baseball history. A second grand slam home run for Fernando Tatis in the 3rd inning in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, even McGuire was impressed.
Yeah, and what did Chan Ho's earned run average go up to?
Close to double figures.
Yay.
The batter is Thomas Howard now, with McGuire still at 3rd and Langford at 1st. St. Louis on top, 3-0. Thomas Howard called up less than 2 weeks ago, won a game for the Cardinals with a pinch hit home run in Los Angeles. But he flies out here to Cliff Floyd, and St. Louis will settle for 1. Bragg's double, an RBI by McGuire, Langford stranded, and after 2.5, 3-0 St. Louis. First 2 innings here at Pro Player Stadium in Miami. Kent Bonfield has faced a minimum 6 batters. He takes on Mike Lowell, the former Yankee farmhand, who we saw here on ESPN in the AAA All-Star game last year in Norfolk. He had a big season, hitting .304 with 99 RBIs at Columbus. And he hits it straight out to center. It chases Darren Bragg about 380 feet away, and that's 7 straight for Bottenfield. The last 3 men have flied out to the biggest part of the ballpark. Well, tonight the Stanley Cup playoffs continue on ESPN. Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Final, and the Sabres leading 3-1. The other bad news is that the Dominator is back in there against the Maple Leafs. Buffalo looking to reach the finals for the first time since '75, 1 win away. And they're at the Air Canada Center to try to close it out tonight. George Fabregas hitting .202. Sort of a journeyman catcher the last few years. He's moved around quite a bit.
Bottenfield up with everything. You look at this, and he's retired 7 hitters in a row, but 6 of them have been on fly balls. You keep messing around with that strike zone high, somebody's going to take a yard. The only thing is, you mentioned earlier, The Marlins are last in hitting at 251, tied with the Padres.
Yeah. Second last in runs.
Right, with 201. Next to the last in home runs with 42. So you don't have to worry about too many people really in this lineup the way they're swinging the bat right now. Floyd and Millar are the only two guys that really can hurt you. Preston Wilson obviously swinging the bat very well. But up and down the lineup, you don't have a lot of tough outs.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Fabregas. Bodenfield gets a pitch up. It's a base hit to left field. So Fabregas, who hit 199 for Arizona and 188 for the Mets last year, gets the Marlins' first base hit here. Many feel he's keeping the seat warm until the Marlins can get a look at Ramon Castro, their outstanding young catching prospect.
Here you just see this ball is above waist high, and Bodenfield has gotten away with 2 or 3 pitches there. You're going to have to get the ball down, or somebody's going to leave yard and make this an interesting ball game.
Brian Meadows, the pitcher, stepping in. He'll step out while Darren Bragg retrieves a beach ball out in right center. Got to be at least 12 to 15 miles inland here. But it's Memorial Day, a holiday, and the folks here in Florida having a good time. It's not been that great around here, though. Their 7-22 home record is the worst in the major leagues. Only the Brewers have less wins at home. Milwaukee in its final year at County Stadium only 6-16. Ryan Meadows looking to bunt. Deadens it in front of the plate. Marrero pounces and then makes the easy play to McEwing. Sacrifice is good. Fabregas into scoring position with 2 down.
And Freddie Gonzalez making the right call there, bunting runner over, trying to get a little closer in the game. Good position with the bat barrel. Bat barrel above the hands. Dipped it a little bit, but stayed above the baseball.
He was so intent on bunting, and Marrero so intent on charging, that the catcher beat the batter out of the box.
A little bit like Eddie Armbrister and in the Boston Red Sox situation. Carlton Fisk ran into him. Larry Barnett, the umpire.
I had a feeling you would recall that little incident in the series. Top of the order now again for Craig Counsell, who is really scuffling. Struck out looking first time up, and his season batting average down to 132. He was beaten out for the second base job in spring training by Luis Castillo, who's about 5 years younger. Castillo hit .345 in the spring with 9 walks and 55 at bats, and he's considered faster and a better defensive player than Counsell right now at the age of 28. Castillo 3 times in the minor leagues stole 40 bases or more, but not in there today. Out of play left side. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Jimmy Leland a little concerned with Mike Lansing's continuing physical problems. Little rumblings around the ballpark today that he was interested in reacquiring Craig Counsell, who was a big part of that Marlin World Series ball club, World Champion ball club. And having managed, I know that there's a lot of times when your GM tells you that there's a lot of interest about a player, you plug him into the lineup on a day that those scouts are at the ball game. So could be one reason why you see Craig in there today.
He hit .251 last year, 40 RBIs, but he missed the last 2 months with a broken jaw. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bodenfield jams him, and it's fouled down the right field side. Well, Dylan Dave's on the phone. There could be something happening. I wonder if that's a call to Colorado. Dave Dombrowski, a great job in Montreal, stocking that farm system with prospects, and he's tried to do the same here. Although they did take the quick fix approach and won the World Series, what'll soon be 3 years ago. Counsell waiting. 2-2 pitch up and away.
What a tough thing that must be for a guy like Dombrowski. You know how tough it was on Jimmy Leland. Now he goes out to Colorado with a ball club that has a pretty high payroll. They're struggling, but Jimmy Leland went through the struggles at Pittsburgh, and then here they cleaned house in Pittsburgh with Van Slyke and Bonilla and Bonds, Doug Drabek, John Smiley.
Field on a breaking ball, a 2-out walk. Marlins, of course, do have a new owner in John Henry. The Wayne Huizenga era is over here. I'll tell you, John Henry made a lot of brownie points with the front office staff. Earlier this season, he chartered a jet and flew the front office to Wrigley Field to watch the Marlins play the Cubs. Now, that's a little longer than your average front office field trip. And the organization responded wonderfully to it. Folks got charged up. And they know they've got better days ahead here in Florida, but pretty tough times right now. There's John Henry. Investment is how he has made his fortune, and a big baseball fan, a former limited partner with the Yankees.
You know, they're not that far from being a competitive club when you think about what you can do in free agency. You look at the Arizona Ball Club going straight from an expansion club and acquiring Finley and Jay Bell and Matt Williams, Randy Johnson, and all of a sudden they're leading the league. So
right.
you can acquire a couple of real solid big guns.
Well, we saw that Arizona Ball Club right after your St. Louis game on ESPN last Wednesday. Rick Sutcliffe and I were very impressed with what the Diamondbacks are doing, even though they've lost Todd Stottlemyre. Right now, Marlins winning here 2 years ago. Diamondbacks hoping to win it this year. They're hoping to straighten out that bullpen where they've blown, at least Greg Olson has, 5 out of 10 opportunities to save ball games. Right now, they've got a 2.5 game lead on the Giants, 3 on the Dodgers. They've made a good move in the last week or so. And Matt Williams is having a bang-up year so far. No balls, 2 strikes. Gonzalez reaching, little chopper down to McGuire. And that'll do it for the Marlins in the bottom of the 3rd. They get a 1-out single, a 2-out walk. Botfield strands both, and he leads 3-0. Home Run Alley is where the Marlins have some of the media and some of the broadcasters today. They have a Spanish-speaking station, WQBA, with Felo Ramirez and Jesus Diaz. And then they have their English crew out there as well. A little lunch delivered, too. There's Joe Angel and our buddy Davey O'Brien. Joe Angel worked a lot of years with John Miller in Baltimore. Home Run Alley out in left field. If McGuire hits a screaming line drive, you'll see some courageous radio guys under the table. Here's Eli Marrero to lead off, top of the 4th inning. Marrero popped up to first base his first time up. Right above that 26-foot scoreboard out there. 330 down the line here at Pro Player Stadium. It's only 361 in the gap in left center. It's a hitter's park for right-handers. Marrero, a courageous battle with thyroid cancer last year that kept him out a couple of months. He hits one hard up the middle, but that's where Counsell was playing. Good scouting by the Marlins right there for the first out here in the top of the 4th. Next up is Joe McEwing.
A little bit of fastball on the outside part of the plate. Marrero skulls it right there. Anytime you see the pitcher reach out, pretty much a base hit, but Marrero has pulled a lot of balls. That's the scouting report on him. You wouldn't believe the sheets of scouting reports that you receive every day from your advanced scout who goes ahead of your ball club and watches the team that's coming in the next series. They have all kinds of lines, dots to show you what a guy does on fastballs, what he does on breaking balls.
Well, evidently some fans about to submit their scouting reports as well.
Future scout.
You get a lot of suggestions when you're the manager, don't you?
Don't you? All those people that make tin cans or pump gas or whatever, certainly they are good at what they do, but they call those talk shows and act like they're spending 24 hours a day right there doing exactly what you're doing. My problem is I used to listen to them.
Well, I heard a football coach one time say, when you listen to the fans, pretty soon you're up there sitting with them.
You're right. It didn't take me long to make an exit out of that city.
2 balls and a strike for Joe McEwing. He gets a fastball up and hits it into right field. A base hit in front of Marcotte. And there's McEwing batting .321 coming in. Cardinals love the way he uses the field and sprays the ball around. He's a real throwback kind of player.
Well, he is. He reminds me a lot of Eric Owens, who I managed and now in San Diego. Hits the ball all over the ballpark, doesn't try to do too much, a lot of hand action, short stroke. You start getting the ball up in that area, then they're going to hit line drives. But didn't try to do too much with that ball. A lot of people try to hit that ball, ground it to shortstop by turning over that top hand.
Ottenfield deadens that ball beautifully. Millar to Counsell. It'll go 3-4 on the sacrifice. And McEwing down to second base with 2 outs.
Well, I've seen more sacrifice bunts that have worked here in one game than I did my whole career managing in Cincinnati. That was one of the big problems that I had. I could not get my pitchers to lay bunts down.
One of the things the Cardinal coaches do, both the first base coach Dave McKay as well as a former Florida manager, Rene Lachemann, who coaches over at third, they spend a lot of time in the cage, the Cardinal pitchers do, practicing hitting and practicing bunting. Lachemann was the Marlins' first manager, by the way, from '93 to '96. Fired at the All-Star break. And ironically, the man who took over for him at that time was the Marlins director of player development, John Bowles. Then, of course, they brought in Jim Leland. But Lachemann was 221 and 285 in his 3+ years with the Marlins as their first skipper. Freddie Gonzalez at the controls today with John Bowles ailing. But those little things you do in the cage with pitchers will pay off. It's either work you do or you don't, Ray.
Oh, you trying to tell me that I didn't have my coaches work with them or what?
Well, but you also had an AstroTurf ballpark.
I did.
And it's much more difficult for pitchers to bunt on AstroTurf.
I'm talking, I had pitchers, a guy like Roger Sawkill, who was throwing the ball pretty well for me in ball games when it was 2-1, 3-2, could not get a bunt down with runners on first and second. And all of a sudden, you don't get the runners at second and third. You got your leadoff hitter up there, ground ball, double play, or 1 out. And we worked on it. I actually assigned 3 different coaches at 3 different times because I could not get anybody to get through to these guys. And we'd go out and first Youngblood and then Griffey. And when Ronnie Oster came over, Ronnie Oster helped me, and I was out there. But, you know, they were too busy wanting to hit. You'd take 15, 20 minutes out of every day and go out there and work on bunting. And they would execute it off of VP pitching. It's just tough to, that's something tough to simulate. You know, I threatened to get my starting pitchers out there and make them bunt that and see if that could happen. But it's such an essential part of the ballgame.
Well, here's a chance for Bragg to drive that runner in. 3 balls and a strike. He was thinking about left field with that swing. Aaron Bragg swinging the bat pretty well today. He has doubled and scored twice. Nice catch by the Marlin fan down there on the third base side. He brought the leather. You know, if you get some range in this ballpark, you've got some empty seats you can run in front of to get a foul ball. Marlins are not averaging very many this year. Just over 17,000 per game. 3-2 count. And now Fabregas will visit with Brian Meadows.
A lot of times that comes from the runner on second base. You want to change your signals up a little bit. You're going down maybe with a second sign. And I know in the time when I played, in a heartbeat, there'd be some type of flash to the hitter, either location or type of pitch from the runner on second base. And you better be careful or they'll relay that sign in there to the hitter.
Joe McEwing always in motion. He's the runner at second base. A lot of pitches for Meadows in his first 4 innings. He threw 29 in the first inning when he gave up 2 runs on 2 hits and a walk. Bragg takes a curveball down in the dirt, and the former Marlin Edgar Renteria will get a 2-out chance. How about that World Series 2 years ago when Edgar got that game-winning hit? What a moment for him in his early 20s.
Well, that's what you play for, and look at the enthusiasm. And I know the feeling right there, man. That is unbelievable. You feel like you're flying. There's no way to really describe it. No other feeling like it.
Renteria, the game-winning hit. Ray Knight, a World Series MVP. That's something you'll carry around with you the rest of your life, sir.
Yes, sir.
Proudly. You should. Renteria, a walk and a sacrifice. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Meadows really struggling with his command. Everything, he's not consistently wild in any particular spot. He's down, up, in, out. He's just all over the place today, going really deep in a lot of counts. As a result, you know, he's almost up to 70 pitches.
1-1 pitch here. And he falls behind with a high breaking ball, and you've always got to have in the back of your mind, if you're the pitcher, who is on deck in this situation.
Well, you got to look fastball right here with Big Mac behind him. He's going to come in with a fastball somewhere in an area. He has to come at Renteria right here. He has to throw a fastball somewhere around the strike zone.
Ball 3, low and away, and out at first base. Darren Bragg never got back to the bag. Keith Millar blocked him off. And with a 3-ball count and McGuire on deck, not a good mistake. You'll see Bragg never get back to the bag.
Darren Bragg gets picked off of first base. Watch first base coach David McKay here. As Millar breaks, he should be saying back. He turns to look a little late, and then you're going to watch what happens here with Bragg. He looks up and says, "What happened?" If we run a little bit farther right here, he says, "What happened?" Well, what happened, Buddy Rowe? You got caught out there sleeping. Your first base coach didn't say back soon enough, and you're now in the outfield.
Or the bottom of the 4th inning. Cliff Floyd, Kevin Millar, and Mark Kotsay for the Marlins, who trail 3-0. George Fabregas with a pretty good gun down to the first base bag. Fabregas has caught 15 of 33 base runners trying to steal, and he gets a pick off there, and Bottenfield goes high and tight on Cliff Floyd.
Well, Cliff Floyd dives in. What I mean by that is his front shoulder always goes towards shortstop when he's hitting very well. On top of the plate anyway, but here, watch how he just goes right into that ball there, and then that's a low bridge right there, buddy. But he really stays tight on the plate, stays on top of the plate, and truly one of the great young hitters in the game. Watch how he just stays really tight on this baseball.
Now, this may surprise some people. Last year, Cliff Floyd became the first ever Florida 20-20 man. And he had 22 homers and stole 27. Think of some of the guys they've had here. Gary Sheffield, Moises Alou. He was the first one to do it.
Hey, Jackie.
1-2 pitch. Pottenfield with a fastball up and away, and it's fouled out of play. Of course, Cliff looked like he had great things ahead. He had that really bad wrist injury back in '95 on a play at first base in Montreal. He only hit 18 homers his first 5 years, but 22 last year.
Well, I saw him play, as I said, my hometown. In 1992, he hit .304. He had 24 doubles, 16 triples, 16 home runs.
That one right in there from Bottenfield.
He's looking for the knuckleball.
I think that purpose pitch must have had a bit of a purpose and a solution behind it.
An effect on it, didn't it, brother?
Second strikeout for Ken Bottenfield.
And this is right down Broadway here. Marrero sets up inside, and that ball's right down the middle of the plate. Has to be looking breaking ball on that. You see that a lot of times with big league hitters. They get pitched to, and a thought gets in the back of their head. They start thinking soft. Guy throws a ball right down the middle and drag it back to the dugout.
Here's Kevin Millar, who must be watching some Gary Sheffield videotape. His triggering mechanism with that bat, a lot like Sheffield. Renteria's bat is like that. He's really got it cocking back and forth. He did not make some friends with the varsity earlier this season. Had a good spring, didn't make the ball club. And then he remarked, and we told you about those veteran players playing at Calgary. He remarked, "We could beat the Marlins right now." And some of the guys on the major league team did not like that at all, most notably Derek Lee, who said, "Who's this guy? What's he had? 2 major league at-bats?" Well, ironically now, Millar's with the big club, and Lee has been sent down to AAA. So I guess if you can do it, it ain't bragging.
Dizzy Dean, right, bro?
That was his quote a long time ago. And Millar has proven his worth so far. When he got called up He had 7 hits in his first 5 games, including a wild game-winning inside the park home run at Wrigley Field. He can play either corner on the infield and left field if he needs to. This was a crazy play with Sammy Sosa going back to the wall, Ray. Sammy couldn't find the ball.
High fly ball hits.
No, the ball
right.
hits high up on that ivy there. And I don't know if Sammy thought that it hung up in there. It runs down to a little drain right around the fence there. There's Hernandez coming all the way from center field.
Nick Ewing knocks down a drive up the middle. Safe at first base is Millar. Yeah, Sammy Sosa never did find the ball. Jose Hernandez from center field helping out. But that inside the park homer won a game for the Marlins.
Again, the Cardinals up the middle, a line shot. Ewing showing a lot of range, hits right in the heel of his glove there, and Millar showing a lot of hustle and a little bit of speed for a guy that playing first base. He got down there in a hurry.
Well played on both ends. Here's Kotsay, who flied to center first time up.
Gave him a hit on that, didn't they?
Had to. Ball was really hit hard. Florida's second base hit. Mark Kotsay, his batting average down low. They really have had some young hitters slumping early in the season. Todd Dunwoody was hitting .214 when they sent him down. Derek Lee was hitting .193 and didn't exactly endear himself to the fans here by being a .215 career hitter in his own ballpark. Alex Gonzalez hit only .205 to start the season. There's a hit and run base hit to left center. And sometimes a manager can help his guys get going by moving some base runners.
There's no doubt about it. You get people up there swinging the bat, get those middle infielders moving, especially a guy that's around the place played like Bottenfield, has not walked anybody, been ahead in the count. A lot of balls around the plate. And you see Freddie Gonzalez, but here hit and run, fastball down and away, and just serves it right out over shortstop. Millar peeking in, perfect hit and run. And one thing you always know, that you young people at home, anytime that ball's on the line through the infield, you might as well keep on running, because they catch it, you're out anyway.
That was right over the spot vacated by Renteria. Preston Wilson, the batter, and he represents the tying run. Remember, he leads all National League rookies right now with 11 home runs. 10-game hitting streak on the line today. Flied to center his first time up. And as Ray mentioned earlier, Bottenfield really not pitching low much today. Double play may not be a great possibility here. More likely to see maybe a sacrifice fly.
See what happens when you put a little hit and run on. Watch how Renteria vacates shortstop. There you go, just a couple of steps. Already playing a double play depth. Creates those holes and a lot of hitting space.
Yeah, that appeared to be a ball that he might have been able to catch. Kotsay at first, Millar at third. Good speed on the bases for the Marlins. Preston Wilson can fly. One pitch on the outside corner, says Greg Bonet.
Nasty pitch. Good curveball, starting on the outside part of the plate, just splitting that black. Nasty pitch to hit. Watch the movement of this breaking ball here. Starts down the heart of the plate and just dives right out there. Now, you may not think that's a strike, but there's a tighter movement. It's not where you catch the ball. It's where that ball crosses the plate. Now he's going to come hard inside.
Strikes out Wilson. You know, Ken Bottenfield, he can rear back and get it up there 90 plus now and then. He did some closing for the Cardinals early in the '98 season, after Dennis Eckersley had moved on. And so he gets a big strikeout there. He's fanned both men. He's retired in this inning.
I came out to the ballpark with Jimmy Stewart and Ronnie Clark, two scouts, and Ronnie Clark managed Bottenfield in Des Moines as he was a closer there, and was talking to me a little bit about what he featured and how he'd spent almost 10 years in the minor leagues. You talked about his parts of 4 years in the big leagues. He spent part of 10 years and the minor leagues.
He's been with Montreal, the Rockies, the Giants, the Cubs, and now the last 2 full seasons with the Cardinals. Here's Mike Lowell. Runners still at first and third, 2 down now. And it took Mike Lowell a while to get going this year. He had surgery on February 21st for testicular cancer and then had to undergo radiation treatment. Marlins traded 3 pitching prospects to the Yankees for him on the 1st of February. A proven power hitter, and they need all the power they can get in this lineup. We mentioned only the Pirates have hit less home runs, 35 to the Marlins 42.
This kid's a good player, all the way around good player. 56 home runs in his last 2 years. Has a good eye at the plate. They got him dropped down to 7th in the batting order. But he's the type of guy that can hit in the 4-5 hole. Just trying to get his legs underneath him. He had some shoulder problems also earlier in this year, so he's just been hammered by injury, and as you mentioned that testicular cancer.
2 hits last night, his first major league, at least National League hits. Yeah, they said it was amazing. The day after his last day of radiation, he was out the next day in the cage, and he was hitting fly balls to the warning track. His teammates were very impressed. 2 balls and a strike. Half swing on a pitch that might have been ball 3.
Well, this is the toughest part of his career right here. When you start, as most of these Marlins are, Gonzalez and Millar, and Kotze got his initiation last year, but this first couple of months of the season is so difficult. You see so many different pitchers at so many different arm angles. You don't really know anybody.
You know, one thing that people forget now, Ray, for young players, there are now 16 teams in the National League. You see more variety. Then there's interleague play. I mean, you're seeing pitchers you've never even heard of before, much less get a chance to study these guys. 2-2 pitch. That's a fair ball. Tatis, long throw to first, off the bag, and the Marlins get a run. Tatis looked very relaxed on the throw, but it was nowhere near being on line.
Well, he makes a great play on this ball. This ball was smoking. Look how quick he gets over there. I mean, that's 2 strong steps, but he's got plenty of time, and instead of setting his feet and taking a crow hop, he throws from off his backside, and as a result, you do not have good control that way. He had plenty of time to take that little crow hop and make an accurate throw.
Despite that, the scorer gives Lowell an RBI hit. His second major league RBI, tying runs on base, and George Fabregas is the batter. Tatis has been better defensively this year for the Cardinals. He has a strong, accurate arm, but I think you're right, Ray. He just didn't set himself at all.
Well, I've watched him make a lot of throws this year over the last 2 years, and there's no question with his glove and the range, he's got almost shortstop type range. But what he does, he has, although he runs well and he's got quick feet, he has lazy feet. And what I mean by that is he has a tendency to trust his arm so much that he doesn't use his feet to get himself in throwing position, and that is the primary thing you have to do to make accurate throws from the infield, is get your feet in position.
1 ball, 1 strike. Yeah, we've talked about that so many times with Joe Morgan this year. It's almost like a batter being ready to hit. When you're a fielder, you have to be ready to throw, even before the ball gets there sometimes.
Yeah, no question about it. There's sometimes at third base, especially on choppers and stuff, you position your feet 10 errors. That's a lot of errors. That projects in 35, 40 errors a year. That's a lot of errors for third baseman.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Fabregas, who singled his first time up.
A lot of errors for anybody.
Yeah.
Start making 40 errors at shortstop. Grudzielanek this past year made 38 errors, I believe, and they're talking about him not playing shortstop. You remember Offerman used to make 40 consistently when he was a Dodger shortstop.
A lot of them on routine plays.
Routine plays.
1-2 pitch again. Fabregas with a high fly ball, right field corner, going foul and out of play. Of course, there's a list too of young third basemen, and I can think of 2 in the American League who led their leagues in errors their first years in the big leagues. Now Tatis a little more of a veteran, but a guy named Gary Gaetti and another gentleman by the name of Wade Boggs each led the American League in errors their rookie year, and each went on to become Gold Glovers.
Well, there's no question both those guys worked so hard at what they did, and neither one of them had the great talent that Tatis has. Gary Gaetti a little stronger arm than Boggs. Neither one of them tremendous range. Both good hands, but they worked at it really hard. It's a tough position to learn to play.
1-2 pitch, and he struck him out on a pitch down low. Bonfield strikes out the side, gives up 3 hits. Mark McGwire will bat after Edgar Renteria when the top of the 5th rolls around.
He's a smooth ladies man with one thing on his mind. He's a nacho-loving fool. Don't stand between the man and his chicken. Chicken nacho. Oh, yeah. Fungalicious.
Right now, grilled chicken nachos Bel Grande are just one of the great new ways you too can love chicken at Taco Bell.
Chicken nacho.
No, this is not the Bronx. This is... We're about halfway from Miami up to Fort Lauderdale on the Florida Turnpike here. Edgar Renteria, the ex-Marlin, leads off, top of the 5th. Meadows drops one down low, ball 1. Yeah, interleague play is upon us again. Renteria with a walk and a sacrifice. He jacks one down the left field line, but it hooks foul. Renteria 1 homer this year, 13 runs batted in. That was on May 17th against Ismael Valdez of the Dodgers. His only home run. Hit 3 for the Marlins last year. He goes deep again. This one is fair, and this one is gone. Off the top of the scoreboard. And Renteria comes back home and hits his 2nd homer of the year. And a very nice ovation from the Florida fans. Talk about 2 good swings.
Yeah, you don't see that very often where a guy hits a ball out of the ballpark, foul, and then comes right back to pitch later and hits a ball out of the ballpark. And it's a very rare thing.
Oh, here's a guy who's done it a time or 2.
Yes, sir.
Mark McGwire hit about 4 balls into the upper deck in batting practice today, and one of them was about 2/3 of the way up the tarp. Put on quite a show, did Big Mac. He hit one up there a couple of years ago when he first came to the Cardinals off Rob Nen in the 9th inning on a fastball. So he's reached the upper deck here 2 or 3 times in his less than 2 years as a National League player. Loop double for an RBI last time up. More against Florida last year than any other. And he really set up 61 and 62 with a big week here just prior, right before Labor Day.
How many did he hit in that series? About 4?
Yeah,
4 or 5?
I think he hit 5 in 3 games. Meadows has him reaching. And of course, you and I saw him the last weekend of the season. He had, what, 5 more the last weekend, including 2 the last day.
And about 8 or 9 to the warning track. Every ball he hit looked like it was going out.
2-2 pitch, popped up straight back and on a play.
Meadows throwing an 82-mile-an-hour slider, then threw a little knuckle curve there at 80 miles an hour. First time up, punched him out on a 3-2 pitch. Fastball, 88 miles an hour, right down the heart of the plate. Kind of got him set up again for a fastball after 3 straight breaking balls. Fastball in.
Had a pretty good rip.
Didn't get it in.
Mark McGwire came into this season with 457 home runs. He's only 3 away now from Stan Musial, the all-time Cardinal champion, and Pop Stargell with 475. Going up that list. Pretty good pitch. Outside corner at the knees. And Meadows rings up McGuire for the second time. Edgar Renteria giving St. Louis its 3-run lead back in this inning.
Yeah, he did. He went down and got that ball on the outside part of the plate. Ball was up a little bit. Just lifted it out there. You mentioned the 361 with the, how high that fence?
26 feet.
26 feet. Just eked over the top of it just enough.
Ray Lankford takes a strike on the inside corner. Lankford a perfect day so far. A 2-run double, a single. And here's a guy with a lot of home run power. 9 in 95 at bats this year. 17 extra base hits. 9 homers, 8 doubles during that time, and that equates to a slugging percentage of .705. He might be one of the best players in baseball that's not considered in the elite.
I'm surprised by, I mean, I'm not surprised by that because I've not heard a lot about him in publications and everything, but playing against him, he can do so many things to hurt you.
And he strikes out as Meadows gets him down low. It's a strikeout fest for both pitchers. Meadows striking out his last 2. Bottenfield struck out the side in the bottom of the 4th. So McGuire sits, so does Lankford now after the Renteria home run.
Meadows going to the knuckle curve there. You see it with a hard rotation. And then McGuire setting up outside there is Fabregas, and that ball, one of those telling fastballs starting off the plate. You didn't see Mark get called out on very many of those pitches last year. He always seemed to get the benefit of the doubt. This year, I've seen him rung up 4 or 5 times on borderline pitches. How about you, big man? You see him all the time.
Yeah.
It was just like Pete Rose and Joe Morgan, the guys, Ted Williams, that had great eyes, established that they knew the strike zone.
I've only seen Mark really upset one time this year, and that was Friday at Chicago on a pitch about 8 inches outside. Randy Marsh rung him up, and it looked like last year or the year before the strike zone supposedly changed. There are some umpires who have not changed their strike zone. And McGuire had to sit out the game on Saturday. Came back last night, hit a home run, and he's got an RBI double here today. By the way, you can excuse the Cardinals if they are a little groggy. After that game last night, their chartered flight from O'Hare to Fort Lauderdale got them into their hotel rooms at about 4 o'clock this morning Eastern time. But they came out slugging pretty good here today in the early innings. Tatis takes a curveball on the corner, 3-2. Fernando Tatis with a modest 5-game hitting streak on the line today. But he's only 5 for his last 20.
Used to be a switch hitter. Broke the hamate bone in his right wrist, and that's the bottom hand on your left when you're batting left-handed in 1996. Had surgery and went away from that.
One thing I've noticed about this year, if you make a mistake on a breaking ball, it's gone. He's a good young mistake hitter. Here's one. But he fouls it out of play to the right side.
Had that ball broke, he'd have hit it out. That ball was a backup breaking ball, started on the inside part of the plate, did not break, and that's the only way he got away with it.
Ryan Meadows, only 23 years of age. Major league record of 15-17. His 42nd start. Tatis grounds it foul outside third.
He swings hard, doesn't he? Fernando, for a little guy, he's only 5'10", about 170.
They call him Freddie. He doesn't swing as hard as Gary Sheffield, but who does?
Different kind of swing. Gary a little bit more handsy. It's more arm type upper body swing.
Fastball out of play right side.
Talking to Walt Jocketty last year during that last series that we were together in St. Louis watching the McGuire onslaught. Walt Jocketty, general manager of the Cardinals. Talking about Tatis. Tatis played a great series, and first time I'd seen him play in person.
Up the middle, base hit. I'll say one thing for Walt Jocketty. That trade with Texas is looking pretty good at the trade deadline last year, because along with Tatis, the Cardinals got Darren Oliver, who's one of their top 2 starters right now. Todd Stottlemyre, who they sent to Texas, is of course now in Arizona and disabled. And Royce Clayton is injured again. He's had an off and on year with the Rangers, trying to stay healthy at shortstop. So the Cardinals got a whole lot out of that deal as Texas tried to load up for the stretch drive. Thomas Howard is the batter. And Howard getting playing time now in right field. Eric Davis plays some out there, with J.D. Drew right now playing every day at Memphis on a sort of rehab, get some playing time assignment.
Thomas Howard came up with the San Diego Padres as a projected great star. It didn't really pan out there. Came over to Cincinnati with us, had a couple of really solid years as an everyday outfielder, and then became the 4th outfielder. Likes the ball out away from him, does not like the ball inside. Hits a lot of balls the opposite way. Good breaking ball hitter. If you get him out, you got to pound him in on his hands and go up in the strike zone. Low ball hitter. Likes the ball out away from him.
That was Frank Pulley with the no swing sign. Well, most left-handers love to drop that bat head on pitches down and in. Brian Meadows, 29 pitches his first inning. He's nearing 100 now.
Yeah, he's going to have a short day. As you see, the outfield swung around to left field, bunching the gap. Thomas Howard
tried to pull that outside pitch. Out to Counsell it goes, and the Cardinals are gone at the top of the 5th inning. But after Florida scored in the bottom of the 4th, Edgar Renteria got it back in a hurry with his 2nd homer of the year. ESPN Major League Baseball Pro Players Stadium in Miami. Bob Carpenter and Ray Knight, bottom of the 5th. Cardinal bullpen was ready for Billy the Marlin.
As they always are. I'll tell you, that guy driving the boats got to where he gets it too. It used to be all for Billy Marlin. Now they have a 5-gallon bucket for the driver.
Brian Meadows leads off bottom 5 for the Marlins, and he fouls one off. Sacrificed his first time up.
Surprising me a little bit. 5th inning. Already right at 100 pitches for Meadows. I thought maybe that Freddie would lead off. Pinch hit here.
By the way, that was Heathcliff Slocum, who the Cardinals called up from Memphis last week. Major League veteran. Pitched only a couple of innings in Memphis. They wanted another experienced arm in that busy bullpen. One ball and 2 strikes. Meadows will be followed by Craig Counsell and Alex Gonzalez in the Florida 5th inning. Ken Bonfield, a run on 4 hits so far, and it's fouled out of play.
And when a guy gets to 96 pitches after 5 innings, as Meadows has, even though it's a 4-1 ball game, you figure he's probably only going to go 1 more inning max. He has a real short inning, maybe 2.
Breaking ball by Bonfield. That's a slider that he started working on a lot during spring training, knowing he was going to be a starter primarily this year. And Meadows hangs tough. Brian Meadows, as mentioned, only 23 years of age. He's from Montgomery, Alabama. Marlins got him in the 3rd round of the June '94 draft for compensation when Walt Weiss signed with the Rockies. Out to short it goes. Renteria with a pitcher running, plenty of time. 1 out, bottom of the 5th. Let's check in again with Trey Wingo.
All right, Bob. The Brewers had the fewest home wins in the majors. The Padres had the worst road record in the NL. Something had to give, and Mark Loretta made sure it was the Padres. This 2-run single, part of his 3 RBI day. As the Brewers win it 8-4, Padres now have the worst record on the road in the majors.
They are really scuffling big time, San Diego. They are the 1999 version of the Marlins, basically, with that club having been dismantled. And with that loss, San Diego's road record now 7-18. Craig Counsell, the batter. Some of the folks call up the radio shows here in town and say, who are these guys? And they've been all over John Bowles. John Bowles is a very smart baseball man. 12 years in player development with the Royals, the Expos, and the Marlins. Not on the bench right now. He has a 3-year contract. Dave Dombrowski going to stick with him. Some of the fans here have criticized Bowles for not only the lack of the team's success, but he's very stoic in the dugout. And some fans have the wrong impression of John. They think he's boring. But Dave Dombrowski will tell you he's a very interesting, funny, and articulate guy who's very well spoken. Freddie Gonzalez running the ball club as John battles that neck problem. And Craig Counsell right now, it just looks like he doesn't have a whole lot of clue what's going on. That's the second time the leadoff man has been called out on strikes in this game.
Well, Craig hadn't got to play much, and when you don't get to play, you start fighting those demons within yourself. This pitch on the outside part of the plate, a pitch that he normally fouls off, very tough out when he's playing every day. Doesn't strike out a lot, and it's just a whole different story when you. Oh, is he a foul?
Alex Gonzalez got a hanging breaking ball and almost snuck one out down in the corner.
Now I got confused there. He's got Sheffield's number on. Kind of like a Sheffield.
That looked like a Sheffield line drive.
Like line drive.
Well, this guy may be wearing number 11 for a long time. In fact, if he turns out to be as good as they say he is, he may be the last Marlin to wear number 11.
Aye.
Rated the #1 International League prospect last year. And of course, they had to rush him then as Edgar Renteria moved on to the Cardinals. And he's holding his own, hitting in the 280 range. Little half swing, a little luck never hurts. Down into the corner, retrieved by Thomas Howard, and it's a 2-out, excuse me, double by Alex Gonzalez. That's his 20th extra base hit of the year. Make it his 22nd.
Just a fastball up in here, and he wants to check his swing. Got the bat barrel somewhere around the baseball, and anytime you do that, good things happen.
Had a nice sound to it.
It did.
Runner at second, 2 outs. Cliff Lloyd, the batter. That's an important run sitting out there for the Marlins. They're working through the middle of their batting order now for the 3rd time. Middle innings, they trail by 3.
Talked a little bit about Cliff Lloyd when he was down in Albany. I got to go out to watch him play. Shane Andrews was also on that ball club, and that ballpark in Albany, it was a monster field, about 410 in center, 340 down the lines, and Cliff hit those long fly balls like Willie McCovey.
There's a long fly ball to left center. Langford watching it. It's off the scoreboard. It'll drive in a run. Floyd is signaling for a home run, but the scoreboard is in play, Cliff. I'm thinking he ought to be hustling maybe to go to 3rd on the play, and he's between 1st and 2nd base cruising, giving the home run sign.
I don't know what he's thinking, because everybody knows that that scoreboard's in play. The ball didn't even hit. It hit high up on the scoreboard, but somewhere around that HIP area. Here we see it right here. Fastball away, hitting that high fly ball. Clifford felt like he got all of it, but here's the ball right there. You don't see it.
Not even close.
Here you're going to see right here the ball hitting pretty high up there. And I guess they are giving him a home run, but
well, now what's going on?
The ground rules in this ballpark, anything that hits that wall is in play, just like Fenway Park.
I don't think this is over. Now Frank Pulley's going over to talk about it. That's a 26-foot high scoreboard. The ball obviously hit up against the board. Any part of the board or any of the advertisements are in play. Now the exception to that is over in the corner where the scoreboard ends, and there's just an 8-foot wall next to the chevron sign over there. Now right there where the yellow line is, that's where you sneak one over the wall, you get a home run.
Right, and then out in deep center field, the scoreboard ends out there, and there's a yellow line there right off the Bud sign.
I would not be surprised to see them send him back to second base.
But watch this here. Watch the Bell South. The ball hits right at the top of the H on the Bell South. Right at the top of the H on the Bell South. There it is right there, right over that 52 there. Boom, boom.
That's a double.
Definitely a double.
Frank Pulley's walking into the dugout, and I wonder if he's going in to see a replay. They can look at that on a camera monitor down there. They can pan the camera around and through the viewfinder show a replay. There's the ball hitting right off the scoreboard.
Well, we can tell you right now what this ruling is going to be. It's going to be a double. There's no doubt. With that great camera work from our guys, can tell you right there, right above the 5.
The ball has to clear the scoreboard to be a home run. And the advertisements, we're told, part of the scoreboard. I mean, if they weren't, you could have all kinds of crazy arguments over fly balls here.
Well, when you exchange the, look right there, right in the corner of the 5, right up above the 5, National League just left of the P. I mean, goodness gracious. Not anything more conclusive than that.
I think even the NFL would have it settled by now.
Yeah. Is this the first time you've seen an umpire go and look at a replay?
Yes, it is.
It's my first time.
In baseball.
In baseball.
On ESPN, we've had officials come over to our table before on college basketball games to maybe look at a clock violation. Unless that's a real bad viewfinder.
Yeah.
That decision should be made by now. Frank Pulley is the crew chief. He's been in the National League since 1972.
Yeah, we can spot shadow this for you right there and show you exactly where that ball hits. Right in the corner where those two lines come together in the corner.
And again, whether Cliff Floyd thought it was a home run or not, he should be running hard. That ball got by Langford and by Bragg. He could have had a triple at least on this play, but he's running between first and second begging for a home run. I think Cliff Floyd's going back to second base. Ray, the thing I can't figure out, why did they change the call in the first place?
I don't know. I have no idea unless you absolutely see it. The rule is the umpire, if he has any doubt, he has to call it. He has to call it the way he sees it. But that is the first time we may have made history here, because I don't ever recall an umpire coming off the field, looking into a monitor to see what the results of a play.
Now, had the home run call stood, I guarantee you Tony La Russa would have played this game under protest. I mean, everybody in the ballpark knew it was still in. For some reason, one of the umpires waved Cliff Floyd home, but now he really is back where he belongs, in that second base.
Well,
and I think Gonzalez is going to be satisfied. I think Freddie Gonzalez will be satisfied with the explanation.
Well, I applaud Frank Pulley. I really do. And the key is to get it right.
And why not take a few extra?
Why not? I believe in that wholeheartedly. Is something that I've always felt somebody should do. Not on balls and strikes, but certainly on calls like that. When nobody sees it clearly, You've got the technology there to see it, and, you know, just get the play right.
Now La Russa talking with Greg Bonet, the home plate umpire.
I wonder what he's saying. He probably wants to know why he changed in the first place.
You know, Tony does have a law degree. It could be a long-winded version of I told you so. Tony La Russa has a law degree from Florida State University. Now, I don't know how his other degree, industrial management, figures into that. But he seems satisfied. And Kevin Millar will be the batter. So it's a 4-2 game, not 4-3. Runner at second, 2 outs. Bottenfield misses with a breaking ball.
And I agree with you. I mean, I was so caught up in the play that ball has a chance to be an inside the park home run. There's 2 outs. You don't necessarily have to get to third base with 2 outs, but there's no question that's a stand-up triple for Cliff Hoyt if he's busting his tail all the way. Let the umpires call the game and just play it.
Yeah, he was in his home run trot between first and second with a ball rolling around center field. 1 ball, 1 strike now as Bottenfield got it in there. Kevin Millar 1 for 2 with a base hit. I guess if he singles here, it becomes academic. But Frank Pulley did get it right.
Well, our camera's got it right.
There it is, up the middle, but McEwing stops it. That keeps the ball on the infield. So the Marlins still don't have the run they were bidding for, but they do get runners at first and third, 2 outs with Marcotte coming up.
Millar hits another bullet up the middle. You remember the last time this ball was on the other side of second base, and Ewing makes a very fine play. And we mentioned Millar's speed, a little pop-up slide there. He can run a little bit.
How about Joe McEwing on Renteria's side of second base on that play? This kid is all over the place. I would imagine he'll play a little more to pull here as the left-hander Kutse steps in. So the Marlins now have the tying run at first base.
You know, I've been watching the defense, and he's overplayed a step or two, but not, you know, rank pull. I mean, has he shown that type of range all year?
Yes, he has. And he's played the outfield. Ken Bottenfield threw 17 pitches the first 2 innings.
I mean, and there's another, I mean, there's a shot on the shoulder side of second base, the shortstop side of second base, that a second baseman catches. That ball was hit hard. It wasn't hit off the end of the bat.
Right. And then Bottenfield now, in less than 3 innings stints, has thrown 65 pitches. A double by Gonzalez. Cliff Floyd a double off the scoreboard. A base hit on the infield by Millar. And a 2-0 count here. Breaking ball is in there. Long 4th inning when the Marlins got their first run.
Yeah, and then has begun to struggle with his control there.
Pass ball right side, ball 3. Preston Wilson. Right now, Florida's best power hitter is on deck in what has been the year of the Grand Slam so far.
This may be a case where Bottenfield, knowing Kotze's a good hitter, hit .279 last year, may just pitch around him. That's what I thought. I thought he'd throw him a breaking ball there. And you already have the tying run on first. Kotze would be the go-ahead run. But the pitchers don't think like that anymore. In the time when I came up, before I came up, they would go right at this guy, even though he is a tying run.
Inside target. Fastball jams him, and he fouls it into the Marlin dugout.
But you see more and more the split finger, the curveball, the slider, fork ball thrown 3 and 2 with runners in scoring position, no matter who's hitting.
Bottenfield retired Meadows on a ground ball, then Counsell struck out. He was apparently headed for an easy 5th inning. Now 3 straight hits and a 3-2 count and a half swing, but it was hit so well it carries to Langford. A run on 3 hits by the Marlins. They strand 2. They've left 6. So watch number 52. And that's where the ball hits. It was obviously a double by Cliff Floyd, not a home run, even though that's what he wanted. Pulley got it right. We're told the Marlins are now playing this game under protest. Now we go to the top of the 6th inning. Bottom 3 in the order for St. Louis against Brian Meadows. Cardinals lead 4-2. And Marrero, who often swings on the first pitch, pops it up left side of the infield. And it's caught by Alex Gonzalez. Another look at what the protest is all about for the Marlins. But a ball that obviously hit the scoreboard and stayed in play. Here it comes. I mean, not even close, Ray.
No, not for me.
And by the way, for those of you who are wondering, who is this number 52 for the Dodgers getting all this publicity? That's Jamie Arnold, who works out of their bullpen, losing pitcher against the Pirates today.
And you have a little Jamie Arnold story.
Well, just a little over a week ago, Jamie Arnold was the man body slammed to the ground at Dodger Stadium by the Cardinals' Sean Dunston after being hit by a pitch. There's Sean, who's coming out to hit for Kent Bottenfield. Out to short it goes. Gonzalez throws out Joe McEwing. So Bottenfield is gone after it appeared he might pitch 7 innings or more because of his early pitch count.
Manny Abar. And as you've said earlier in our telecast, that Tony La Russa's starters don't go very deep in ball games. Bottenfeld only averaging 5.2 innings per outing. Was out of there.
And with 2 outs and the bases empty.
I always do that. I say Manny Abar and it's Ibar, right?
Yes, it is Manny Ibar.
And I say Ricky LeDee instead of Ricky LeDay. I'll get it right one of these years.
You just worry about the X's and O's and let the
yeah.
play-by-plays guys get the names right.
All right.
Sean Dunston's having a real good, Shawan Dunston. Sean's having a real good season so far. He's played the outfield, a couple of different infield positions, hitting .347 with 4 homers and 21 RBIs. He's always been a shortstop who could hit for power. When he first came up with the Cubs, he was getting people talking about, well, most homers by shortstop since Ernie Banks. Had some real bad back problems, though, that limited him to only 25 games total in 92 and 93. He's a .269 career hitter with 127 major league home runs. Good man off the bench. And Tony La Russa says he loves coming to the ballpark now. Sean does. Really enjoying himself late in his career in a variety of roles after he hit only .237 for the Indians last year. And then in 35 games for the Giants, hit only .176.
He's always been a great pro. I played against him my last year in the National League in '86. He had 17 home runs that year, which ended up being his career high, but had a great throwing arm at shortstop.
Out to short it goes. Alex Gonzalez busy this inning. Wide throw. Millar picks it, and the Cardinals go in order. Well, we've had a definite change of momentum in this game. Ryan Meadows, 7 pitches that inning. 4-2 St. Louis. Bottom of the 6th inning at the home of the Marlins, Pro Player Stadium. Happy Memorial Day to you. Bob Carpenter and Ray Knight. And we go bottom 6 with a new St. Louis pitcher, 24-year-old right-hander Manny Ibar. A lot more suited, they feel, for the bullpen these days after several years as a starter.
Yeah, I was looking at his stats. Memphis last year 10-0, and La Russa and staff said that he has a tough time getting himself prepared to start. They like him. They liked his arm as a starter, thought he would be a starter, but every time that they've tried starting him, he cannot find that comfort zone in coming off the bullpen down to the mound. He has a tendency to just not get into the game very quickly. And Tony says he likes him a lot better in this role.
Kind of an excitable young man. And Ibar himself likes coming to the ballpark knowing, hey, I might pitch tonight. A lot of guys prosper once they get that in their mind.
Yeah, a lot of starting pitchers have a tough time calming down, getting that nice calm effect where you come to the ballpark and you know, you pitch on that day. I mean, some of them start pitching 4 days out, thinking about how are they going to pitch, and it's just, you know, too much thought process.
Preston Wilson leads off. Ibar starts him up with a couple of fastballs, and it's 1-1.
By the time the game gets here, they're cooked.
This kid's got a great arm. Out of the Dominican. In fact, a couple of years ago, around the time of the expansion draft, Walt Jocketty had a chance to trade Manny Ibar and Braden Looper, who ironically is now a Marlin, to the Marlins for none other than Kevin Brown.
Whoa.
The Cardinals passed on that deal because of Ibar's great arm, and they had considered Braden Looper at that time their closer of the future. Great fastball at the knees. 2-2. So that tells you how highly regarded Braden Looper, who's now throwing, and Manny Ibar, who's now throwing, were by the Cardinals at that time. Of course, I doubt if the Cardinals would have come up with $105 million to keep Kevin.
No.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Preston Wilson, Mike Lowell, and George Fabregas, 6, 7, and 8 for the Marlins here in the 6th.
Manny started pitching at 17 years old, has won 41 games in the minor leagues.
Nasty little tight slider there for the strikeout. He went down and away to the right-handed batter. Well, we've got holiday baseball for you. We told you about Sunday night. Don't forget Wednesday. Depending on the NHL, either on ESPN or the Deuce, you'll see the Indians and the Yankees. Cleveland beat New York 7-1 today. And then we go to the late game. Albert Bell and the Orioles with Griffey Jr. and the Mariners. It could be a slugfest in the Kingdome Wednesday night. Chris Berman and Ray will be at New York. 7-1 Indians today, and then Charlie Steiner and our buddy Rick Sutcliffe will have the late game for you on ESPN Wednesday. Charles Nagy over Hernandez and company today. That broke a Yankee 5-game winning streak and broke a 3-game Cleveland losing streak. I knew those Indians would be mad about being swept at home again for the first for the first time since their first year at Jacobs Field. Mike Lowell 1 for 2 with an RBI single. Ibar gets one in there. The Indians are 33-16 with that win today. A huge lead, 9.5 over the rest of the AL Central. Out to short. Renteria scoops it like he used to here with the pinstripes on. And the first 2 for Ibar in the bottom of the 6th. By the way, if you're wondering about the Yankees and the Red Sox in that race, Boston came from behind today on some of our ESPN regional coverage and beat the Tigers 8-7. So they gain a game on the Yankees and lead by a game and a half. And the Red Sox have won 4 straight. George Fabregas 1 for 2 with a single.
Well, you can see why they like Ibar. That fastball, 94, 95 miles an hour, knee high. A little bit of sink to it. Got a little splitter that he throws, a little cutter.
He was a young Sean Dunston throwing 95 miles an hour fastballs from shortstop. He was converted to a pitcher 6 years ago. Thus, he's a pretty good hitter when he gets in there. He's got a live arm. So does Sean. 1 ball, 1 strike. Past the mound, out to short, under Renteria. He thought it was going to come up a bit, and it stayed right down on him. And that should be Edgar Renteria's 10th error of the year. That's a number the Cardinals didn't expect on the 31st of May.
Well, he's a fine young shortstop. Here the ball just stays down on him. He does not get his feet again in proper position. See, his feet are still moving, dragging that back foot a little bit up in the air. Almost like he got to that ball a little bit late, and I think that's what happened. He got there a tad late, didn't get the glove down to start with.
Brian Meadows was in the on-deck circle and probably would have pitched the top of the 7th. But now that the Marlins have the tying run at the plate, they will pinch hit with Tim Hires. Left-handed batter. 2 for 5 with an RBI as a pinch hitter. And this is where young pitchers sometimes get into trouble, trying to pitch around mistakes made behind them when they thought they were out of the inning.
Well, it's tough because concentration is something that can leave you when something unexpected happens. Guys get rolling along. There's some pitchers that just have a tough time after things happen behind them, getting back in a groove.
Six innings for Brian Meadows. 4 runs on 8 hits. He struck out 4, gave up the Renteria home run, and walked 2. 103 pitches for Brian Meadows. One pitch. Shadows creeping here at Pro Players Stadium.
Cardinals swung way around the left field, giving the right field line and a big gap out there in right center field.
6:10 local time here. Right field's going to be a tough sun field for the rest of this game. One hopper to Renteria on his rear end, and he throws it to McEwing for the out. Interesting inning for the shortstops. Gonzalez and Renteria very busy. The error does not hurt. 6 innings in the book here in Florida, and in the top of the 7th, Renteria will bat after Bragg and before McGuire.
That feels great, baby. Why did you stop?
I was just admiring your hiney.
Oh, behave.
Order these groovy items wherever you see Austin Powers Heineken displays.
Braden Looper, the former Cardinal who appeared in 4 games for St. Louis early last season, now on for the Marlins. He made the club out of spring training, looked good a couple of times, and he had some struggles. The Cardinals sent him down, and then they traded him.
Yeah, there's some talk about attitude there. They didn't like how he responded to getting sent down, and so they traded him for Edgar Renteria and Armando Almanza.
This guy can bring it. Former first-round draft choice out of that baseball-rich Wichita State program. Leadoff man Darren Bragg. Each time Bragg has led off in this game, he's hit doubles. Top of the 7th, 4-2 St. Louis.
Well, this is a pretty good connection. Darren Bragg played at Georgia Tech, and Looper was with Wichita State, and that happened to tie you and me together.
That's right.
Back in 1989, the first game that I ever did for ESPN college baseball was in Wichita State with Bob Carpenter on one February snowy.
Oh man, how cold was it in Wichita in February?
Real cold.
First time 2 announcers ever begged to do the game from the truck. That one is on the inside corner, and Looper freezes Darren Bragg. And of course, it's with fond thoughts of Omaha. Don't forget, folks, it's only 11 days away now. College World Series from Rosenblatt Stadium in Omaha. What a great event that has become.
That was another assignment that I had with you. And
yeah, there's an old Fullerton guy.
Oh man, he holds all the records out there.
Marcotte.
Over 500 average at the World Series. 2 Grand Slam home runs, which is also a record. Slugging percentage record for the World Series in Omaha, Marcotte.
That was in '95.
And he was a hitter and actually got the last out.
On the mound.
On the mound. So
Edgar Renteria, perfect day with a walk, a sacrifice, and a solo homer. Other than the error, it's been perfect, but it did not cost the Cardinals a run. You can see he's got a little bit of that Sheffield bat motion to him. On the corner, says Greg Bonet.
Well, this kid, I've heard a lot about him. First time I've seen him in action, 93 to 98 miles an hour. He can get it up to 98. He's got that funky arm motion and arm action. Very tough to pick up as a hitter. A really dominating slider. There you go, 96 cheese ball up around the neck.
Well, some of that stuff, the reason the Cardinals considered him their closer of the future. I mean, they thought that he might step in right after Dennis Eckersley departed and take on over. He almost lost his balance and fell down on that pitch. Now he goes to 3-2. Kind of a bad landing there for Braden Looper.
Yeah, with that kind of stuff and that kind of arm angle, with that kind of late movement to the fastball, you haven't seen his slider yet. But he has a slider that just really turns hard down and away from you. He throws that thing at about 88, 89 miles an hour. Throws a changeup just on occasion. Right now, pretty much 2-pitch pitcher. People have talked about him starting, but the fact that he doesn't have a third pitch is why he's in the bullpen.
All-American at Wichita State for the team that was in the '96 College World Series. She didn't need a glove to make that play. High heat. Renteria hits it out to center, but that's a graveyard for fly balls in this park. And that's 2 quickies in the 7th for Braden Looper. This should be an interesting matchup as Mark McGwire will step in. First inning. And the little bloop down the line for an RBI double in the 3rd. How about this? Ryan Meadows gets him at the knees on the outside corner. So Mac 1 for 3 with his 37th RBI. And his season average 255. McGwire is a 264 career batter. Last year, on the last day of the season, we saw him go crazy. He had a base hit and 2 homers, and he ended up hitting 299. Shadow's becoming a bigger factor now.
And I'm trying to figure out this too. I mean, we're getting now, this is the 3rd club that have played 4 outfielders for McGwire. For me, if you're going to play the 4th outfielder, you might as well play him up there in the left field bleacher.
If he hits it in the air, most people say it's going out anyway.
And he's not a line drive type home run hitter. When he's line drives, they're to left field. You know, you got the outfield now spread all over the ballpark. When he hits the ball in the air, it's either out or a high fly ball to the warning track. He doesn't hit that many balls on the line into areas. There you have Counsell out there in deep right field. But this is not going to make Mark McGwire, although last night he did hit a ground ball single through the right side.
Yep.
But I think over the course of the season, this is not going to work.
2 balls, 2 strikes. There's a ground ball, base hit.
Well, maybe he'll hit 300 and hit 35.
Mark McGwire looks like Matty Alou the last 2 nights.
I never thought, I said that last night. I never thought I'd see Mark McGwire hit the ball 3 second base. And that's 2 times in a row, so he may have something. It shows me he can do it.
Freddie Gonzalez going to make a pitching change here. He doesn't like Braden Looper against Ray Langford. We'll have a lefty-lefty matchup when we come back, as coming in is Jesus Sanchez. St. Louis by 2 in the 7th. Mark McGwire 2 for 4 today as he does what he did against the Cubs last night. Little ground ball base hit right side.
Yeah, and this is what a manager is looking for. Anytime you can take really bad out of Mark McGwire's hand, if he's going to go that route and hit a ground ball through the second base side with 2 outs, you'll certainly take it. You know, if that's what you're trying to do is make him change his approach, then that's a great deal to put 4 outfielders out there. But it's not going to do you any good because he's going to hit the ball over your head. It surprises me with 2 outs that McGuire will go that way.
24-year-old left-hander Jesus Sanchez.
Pretty good fastball. About 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Has been working on his breaking ball and throws a circle changeup.
He throws a fastball to Ray Lankford.
They like the life on his fastball. It's unlike most left-handers. It's a 4-seam fastball, very straight. But any left-hander that's going to do the job out of the bullpen in this league has to have a breaking ball. And they've worked on Sanchez's breaking ball the last couple of years. It's getting a little better, a little tighter.
He's evidently hung a few. 11 home runs in 44 innings.
That has a lot to do with that fastball being straight, too.
1-1 pitch. And the breaking ball misses away.
And that's what they talked about. That's a pretty good breaking ball there. Pretty tight rotation, but he misses with it. And it's almost like he has just 1 pitch.
Ray Lankford, you throw him a fastball down and in, he's as dangerous as any left-hander in this league. That ball up a little bit and just locked him up some. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, any left-hander that has that uppercut swing as Ray does, and most left-handers do, that pitch that's belled high and above, they have a tough time getting their hands above the ball. It's just kind of like a blind spot right through there. You see Fabregas asking for the ball up again.
Hey, Jackie.
Lankford gets jammed but fights it off. Ray Lankford's starting to climb up the Cardinal charts in some areas. Number 5 on the all-time St. Louis home run list with 175. Wow. 91 of those have come at Busch Stadium. And a fly ball as he got jammed again. Gonzalez goes out. And backpedaling in front of Cliff Hoyd puts away the Cardinals in the 7th. St. Louis leaving 6 base runners. 7th inning stretch time. Cards by 2. Here's a look at our Heineken game summary as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Cardinals about hit the Marlins and lead by 2. Most of the damage from the top of the Cardinal order with Renteria a home run. 87 pitches for Ken Bottenfield. And Ray, we go down to the bottom line. A lot of young clubs just don't know how to win close ball games.
No, they don't. And what happens with that is winning is just a matter of confidence, believing that it's going to happen for you. It also is a matter of the execution of the small things, bunting, hitting behind the runners, getting a pitch that you can drive with a runner on third base. And it takes experience to do that. In the big leagues, tough place to learn. All that pressure, all the expectation. Veteran teams have been through it, and they have their growing pains too. It's just tough when you do it with 4 or 5 young players as opposed to just moving in 1 player at a time.
Yeah.
Which most real successful teams do. They develop young players a player at a time.
And let them feed off the veterans and learn the ropes. Ray Counsell leads off 0 for 2 with a walk. 2 strikeouts. Ibar bounces 1. And that's on an 0-2 pitch, so now it becomes 1 ball, 2 strikes. As you can see, the Marlins involved in a deal today. Rob Stanifer, a minor leaguer to the Sox. Ryan Partenheimer as they exchange minor league pitchers.
That's who Dombrowski was talking to.
Yeah. We caught him live making that deal. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Ibar jamming the left-hander. First meeting of the year between these 2 clubs. They'll play a 4-game series between now and Thursday. Cardinals in the middle of a murderous 2-week road trip. Swept at Chicago, 4 here, 3 at Detroit, and then 3 at Kansas City before they go home a week and a half from now. They've been better on the road, though. How about that fastball? just tailing away for the left-handed batter, and Counsell strikes out for the 3rd time today.
Well, this got some serious giddy up on it here in that late movement away. That's a pitch that Counsell turning off of it because he respects the speed, but that last 3 or 4 inches moving away from him, only way you do that, the only thing you do to that pitch is spoil it, foul it off, nick it, try to get to the next one.
Next up is Alex Gonzalez. Not exactly where Marrero wanted it, but it caught the inside corner for a strike.
Well, it kind of started there. I mean, it started out there and it moved all the way across the plate with that really nice sideways movement. Boy, he's got a lot of movement on that fastball. I don't know what that pitch was. He went from, there you see Matty Morris. We were talking about that. Tell me a little bit about the Matt Morris.
Well, that's Alan Bennis.
Alan Bennis, right.
Matt Morris had Tommy John surgery, so he's out, I mean, for quite a while, into next year. Alan Bennis is the guy they're thinking might throw some more, maybe be back with the club this season. And I talked to Andy in Arizona last Wednesday night. You know, if you want to really find out what's going on, you go to Big Brother.
Right.
And Big Brother said little brother is really feeling good right now. They have a 3rd brother who's pitching in the Cardinal organization, Adam Bennis, considered a better than average prospect. 1-2 pitch and a ground ball, back foul. Alan, of course, a Creighton Blue Jay who pitched in the College World Series. Andy had pitched at Evansville.
Well, we were there that time, and when Andy came to Omaha to watch his brother pitch.
Alan Bennis had 2 shoulder surgeries. For Matt Morris, it was Tommy John surgery. And the odd thing about that, they took the tendon out of Matt Morris's right palm to implant into his elbow area. And I asked him, why did they do that with your pitching hand, not your left hand? He said, I don't have a tendon in my left hand. And according to the doctors, a lot of us don't. The things we learn through these pitchers these days. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Of course, the Cardinals have been known for pitching brothers back in the 60s. Right-handers, Lindy McDaniel, a young phenom of a brother by the name of Von McDaniel, who kind of flamed out in a hurry. And there was a Kerry McDaniel, who all pitched for the Cardinals. Lindy McDaniel, by far the most successful at the major league level of those 3 brothers.
I don't guess Paul and Diz had a brother.
He probably got beat up a lot if they did. Can you imagine having Dizzy and Paul Dean as older brothers? 2 balls and 2 strikes. I think the greatest story I ever heard about the Dean brothers was a doubleheader one day. Dizzy pitched a 2-hitter in the first game. Paul pitched a no-hitter in the second game. And Dizzy said, well, if I'd have known he was going to do that, I'd have done it too. Gas House Gang, a lot of St. Louis tradition with this ball club. Young Mr. Polanco right there. Stan Musial, still, of course, the greatest Cardinal of them all. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Alex Gonzalez. Quite a battle here. Hard breaking ball, base hit. What a great at bat for young Alex Gonzalez. 8 pitches, and he goes the other way for a base hit. Cliff Floyd is coming up, and we'll revisit our controversy of last at bat. He thought it was a homer, but the umpires eventually got it right and called it a double.
Long fly ball to left field. Cliff Ford kind of Cadillacing around there. There's our shot. He's saying home run. It actually hit right above the 52. Frank Pulley comes in there, says no way. The ball hits the wall there, which is in play at 28-foot high wall in left field. Cliff Ford goes back out to second base, take the RBI away, and actually drove in 1 run. Gonzalez was on after hitting a double to right field.
And here's another thing. Had Cliff Floyd been running hard and made it the 3rd, he would have scored on that base hit by Kevin Millar that followed.
Yes, he would have.
But as he was in his home run trot, stopping at second, asking for the homer, he was stranded at third in that inning. Now the Marlin fans say, Cliff, just tie it up with this swing and now we won't worry about it. We were told that at that time Freddie Gonzalez and the Marlins decided to play the game under protest. I don't think they have a chance of winning it. And a fastball away, fouled over to the left side. John Bowles coming off back problems, now having neck problems and unable to be on his feet in the dugout. So Freddie Gonzalez running things for the Marlins. Cardinals trying to break a 3-game losing streak, swept over the weekend at Chicago. Marlins only 7-22 at home. Marrero blocks it, finds his way around the batter to find the ball. Eli Marrero is one of the good young catchers in baseball, blocking pitches in the dirt.
And to do that, you have to have very quick feet. You know, you talk about infielders with quick feet, but watch how quickly he gets those feet turned down and just keeps his body square to the field, and that keeps the ball out in front of him. When you get that body at an angle, the ball caroms off toward each dugout, and runners are able to advance.
We've heard him compared to a young Manny Sanguillen, slim, athletic, not your bulky type catcher. There's another one. He just short hops it right into his glove.
Really quick hands. Guy has those quick hands, gets down there, turns that glove downward. A lot of guys try to catch that glove with the heel pointed toward the sky, and when you do that, a lot of balls hit off the end of that mitt and cause you problems.
Eli Marrero grew up in this area, moved from Cuba to the Miami area when he was very young. 2 balls and 1 strike to Cliff Floyd. Long 7th inning, even though he's only facing his 3rd batter for Manny Ibar. He jams him with a fastball, and it's popped up on the infield. Near the mound, who wants it? McGuire. 2 down. McEwing and Renteria were playing rather deep, so neither of them could get there. That's a big out for Manny Ibar. Now he faces the right-hander, Kevin Millar. Mark McGuire, by the way, has not committed an error at first base this year. He has been very sure-handed, and he's even made a couple of nice diving plays down there.
Well, you know, he always has been. Everybody talks about McGuire's hitting, and we focus on that, but he's always been an excellent first baseman. A great target over there at 6'5", you know, with great reach. And ground balls, he's always been deadly. Pretty good accurate arm.
Kevin Millar, the batter, 2 for 3 with a pair of singles. And he goes fishing for a high fastball. Marrero's out in front of home plate for this one. Now he comes back, and it's a foul ball. And Ibar gets him popping up. 7th inning over. Marlins have stranded 8 runners. Into the 8th. Tatis leading off 4-2 St. Louis. A sunny Memorial Day at Pro Player Stadium in Florida. Lots of youngsters having a good time on the holiday today, though their team trails 4-2. Bob Carpenter, Ray Knight, our ESPN crew. And a 4-2 St. Louis lead with Fernando Tatis leading off. Another inning of work for Jesus Sanchez. In front of a crowd of 21,943. Tatis 1 for 3 with a single up the middle. And Greg Bonet's been given that strike off the outside corner all day. '24-year-old left-hander from Manny Ibar's neighborhood in Bani of the Dominican Republic. They hail from the same town. Fernando Tatis, of course, is from San Pedro de Macorís. Oh-2 pitch. And a breaking ball in the dirt.
Actually played minor league ball against his father. His father actually abandoned his family when Fernando was 6 years old, and that was a tough story. They didn't finally get back together in 1997.
And Fernando has been reunited with his father. And one of the central figures in the whole story is the man who handles the hitting for the Cardinals. Guy they call the Hitman, Mike Giesler. Mike is acquainted with Tatis Sr. And now he serves as young Fernando's hitting instructor, mentor. And the thing the Cardinals have noticed, and there's the Hitman who had a real good major league career, hitting the ball, .293 career with the Astros, Angels, Pirates, Red Sox, Yankees, and Phillies. He's got Fernando a lot more relaxed this year. He didn't know anybody when he came over to the National League last July 31st. But that changeup will get you. And Sanchez strikes him out. How about Saturday? Our family of networks, complete coverage of the Belmont and a possible Triple Crown. Chris Fowler with the Belmont Stakes Special at 2:30. And then on the Deuce, Chris after the race, Triple Crown highlights. You can see the running of the 131st Belmont on ABC at 4:30 Eastern. Can that wonderful horse, Charismatic, do it? We'll find out Saturday. We may have a Triple Crown winner in racing before we have another one in baseball, that's for sure. Thomas Howard, the batter, 0 for 3 today.
I see Tank is going back to batting right-handed. He abandoned it completely last year.
He broke his wrist carrying luggage to spring training. Fell down the steps with 3 suitcases. Braced himself, broke the wrist, and he said he just couldn't roll that top hand over. But he's back at it now. 1 for 2 this year with a home run. Batting right-handed, a pinch home run at LA. Tank, huh?
Yeah, he played football as a running back. I think it was Ball State. And his nickname is Tank. He actually has a tattoo of Tank on his left bicep.
Howard,
you know that?
Howard takes the walk.
You didn't know that.
I haven't studied Tank that closely. Ball State University, you are correct. He was also an All-American outfielder. So his wife Tammy said the other day, he's not carrying luggage anymore.
Heck no, with the kind of money they make, they need to hire somebody to carry that luggage. Like you do.
You got that right. I carry yours any day, World Series MVP.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Eli Marrero, 0 for 3. And he takes this time. It's in there. One thing Mike Giesler has tried to get Marrero to do is be more patient and hit the ball to right field. He is a notorious first pitch swinger. He did that last time when he popped up.
Again, experience will alleviate that. The first pitch is seldom the best pitch you see, and my philosophy as a hitter and a hitting instructor with the Reds, the more pitches you see, the better chance you have of getting a base hit. Certainly when you've not seen a guy very often, Sanchez out of the bullpen, certainly not a lot of chances for Marrero to face him, to see the rotation, the speed of his fastball, the rotation of his breaking ball, and you saw the great changeup that he threw. Tatis, probably the first time Tatis has ever seen a changeup from Sanchez. But anxiousness and impatience gets a lot of hitters, especially young hitters.
And sometimes we forget how difficult it is for a young catcher at the major league level. He has so many other things to worry about other than his offense. 0-2 pitch, and he reaches to stay alive. Tony La Russa loves his catching, loves his throwing. He's caught 9 of 20 base runners. They've got a solid defensive backup in the veteran Alberto Castillo, who came over from the Phillies. Oh, 0-2 to Marrero with Joe McEwing on deck. Breaking ball in the dirt, wild pitch gets away, and down to second base, Thomas Howard. Not a whole lot George Fabregas could do with that one. Ricky Bottalico, who had the 9th inning nightmare at Wrigley Field on Saturday, is up and throwing. And Scott Radinsky in the background there, considered a co-closer from the left side right now. One ball and 2 strikes. Breaking ball hit high in the air left side. Gonzalez backing out, now in, and the wind's been swirling some pop flies around today, and that's 2 outs here in the top of the 8th.
The way Ibar's been throwing, I would be surprised if Tony would go to the bullpen. We talked about going to Bottalico in the 8th, and the other day when I talked to him, and then whomever, if Bottalico went well, he'd take him right onto the 9th. They're going to probably walk Ewing here and force Tony to use a pinch hitter.
Yeah, interesting decision. Ibar will bat. At least he's on the on-deck circle right now. And I made the point earlier, Manny Ibar is a converted shortstop. He's only 1 for 8 this year, but he usually gets the bat on the ball. Now they're going to call him back and bring in Willie McGee.
Yeah, anytime you can pad that lead or have a chance to pad that lead, you have to do it. Just with a 2-run lead, 2 runners on base, Willie can break this game open with a double.
And Ibar threw a lot of pitches in that 7th inning. He did work through 2. Only gave up 1 hit in those 2 innings of work.
And another thing, it builds for him. It builds a good outing. He can now go back in there and watch the rest of this ball game, knowing that he's done a good job, and good managers do that. He threw 16 pitches in the 6th, 19 in the 7th, 35 pitches. He did a great job, so now he just builds, has a very positive day.
Rich Doobie to the mound, the Marlins pitching coach. Willie McGee, of course, a switch hitter.
Just going out to go over the scouting report on Willie McGee. No real activity in the bullpen out there. There's Alfonseca was throwing earlier, but I think probably Willie's a tougher out left-handed, so you'll probably see the left-hander remain in the game. Just going over the scouting report here and letting Sanchez know exactly how they want to work Willie. 1 for 15 right-handed this year, Willie McGee. He definitely swing the bat better left-handed.
1st and 2nd, 2 outs. One of the most popular Cardinal players of all time. A .296 career batter. Changeup. Willie won a batting title with the World Series bound Cardinals in '85. Another one in '90 when he was traded late in the season to Oakland. His .335, he had enough at bats for that to stand up.
He's always had a lot more movement in his right-handed swing than he does his left-handed at bat. Left-handed, he stays back a little more. Right-handed, he tends to move toward the pitcher quite a bit.
Little chopper down to 3rd, and the throw for Lowell. Cardinals are gone in the top of the 8th inning. 2 walks and 2 stranded. They've left 8. Bottom of the 8th coming up. St. Louis still leads Florida 4-2. Well, there's 3 of the 21,943 here today on a Memorial Day in the Miami area. 4-2 St. Louis, bottom of the 8th inning. Kotsay, Wilson, and Lowell coming up. Reese Davis and Chris McHenry with SportsCenter coming up next. Highlights from the Major League action today on the holiday. Is Michael Irvin out of the Big D? And tonight on ESPN, the Sabres at Toronto, Game 5, looking to clinch. They lead that NHL playoff series 3-1. Tony La Russa goes to Ricky Bottalico here as part of his bullpen plan in the 8th inning.
Yeah, Tony talked to him the other day, and he has a little different philosophy with his closing situation, whether it's Acevedo or Bottalico or Ibar or even Radinsky, whomever he has out there in the 8th inning, if he has a real smooth 8th inning, he's going to put him back out there in the 9th. And the reason for that is he talks about Bottalico being a guy on the intensity level from 1 to 10 about a 12. And he always has usually 8 or 10 pitches before he gets righted. And once he gets righted, he can just mow down the next 5 or 6 hitters. And so he's done that. He instead of just saving Batalico for the 9th, he puts him in there in the 8th. If he's solid, he takes him through the 9th, and he gives him something to go to if Batalico really struggles.
There's that big breaking ball in the dirt, 2-1. You saw Willie McGee still in the ball game, batting 9th, playing right field. There's Juan Acevedo, who is now a starter. Early, he had a handful of saves for the Cardinals. He'll pitch tomorrow here against Livan Hernandez. Acevedo 3-1, but an ERA of 5. He can really bring it. There's a fastball bounced up the middle. Renteria got to it, but couldn't glove it. And Marcotte has his second base hit. That'll bring up Preston Wilson representing the tying run.
Kotsay just stroking the ball right up the middle. Renteria getting a good jump on this ball, and again just fails to get down there. Had a long way to go, playing Kotsay almost straight away, and the ball's actually behind him. Nice job just to get to that ball.
Preston Wilson 0 for 3 today.
Under the tutelage of George Foster. George.
That's a foul ball.
George from Connecticut, in the area up there where Mookie, he's now the first base coach for the Mets, has spent a lot of time with Preston when Mookie and George were teammates, along with myself with the Mets. Took a liking to Preston, and actually a lot of people say that he approaches the ball a lot like George Foster, uses that P72 black bat like George Foster did. P72 being a model of bat with very thin handle.
Oh, high riding fastball got him up around the letters. And the tying run's on base with nobody out in the 8th inning.
Well, that's not going to hurt Preston too much. He has a body fat of just 7%, so most of that's muscle. This ball just gets away, and this is Juan Batalico. Managers really just hold their breath when he's pitching. He's just all over the place.
Ricky Batalico, Saturday at Chicago, hung a breaking ball to the pinch hitter Glenn Allen Hill, who hit one into the bleachers in left center to tie the game. And then another breaking ball he threw to Mark Grace resulted in a game-winning double for the Cubs. So Tony La Russa will buy some time here, and it looks like right-hander Rick Trousshort has got up. This kid can really throw hard too. He actually put St. Louis in a position to win that ball game on Saturday, and then threw pretty well last night.
Really unusual stats for the Cardinals in games finished. You have 6 pitchers that have finished 6 or more games, in Acevedo, Ibar, Batalico, Moeller, and Rudensky. Also, Croucher has begun to finish games. It was at 1.38 earned run average, in that nasty fastball that just explodes all over the place.
Mike Lowell, couple of hits last night, an RBI base hit today. So he's 3 for 10. Cardinals looking for a double play ball. McGuire is charging in from first, as is Tatis. And everybody thinking possible sacrifice here with a power hitter?
I think so.
He bunts it hard. There's a play at third. Out there and out at first. A 1-5-4 double play. That ball was simply bunted way too hard in front of the mound.
Well, that's what happens when you ask a guy that's never or seldom asked to do something that he's not accustomed to doing. Lowell always been a power hitter, normally a 3-4 hole hitter, sometimes 5-hole hitter. Probably hasn't been asked to bunt too many times in his career. You see this right here, just bunts the ball very hard right back at the pitcher. The proper bunt is down the third baseline. Cardinals defense is just in a straight up defense, no wheel play, rotation play.
Another thing, Mike Lowell did not go screaming out of the batter's box. He was surprised the throw was coming to first, and now with a fly ball from Fabregas, the Cardinals are suddenly out of the inning. What a quick resolution that was to a 2-on, none-out situation.
Back at Pro Player Field where the Cardinals up 4-2, Mike Lowell, you see him there bunting with runners on first and second. Watch how he does not get out of the box. He bunts the ball, he watches it, doesn't even start to run, doesn't even throw his bat away till he's 20 feet down the line. Double play. I think more of a shock effect than anything else. Lowell going through a lot of tough times with that testicular cancer and shoulder problems. A hard-nosed player just getting his first opportunity to play in the big leagues. Just kind of shocked, I think, when he bunted that ball back to the pitcher.
And Ricky Batalico, 2 on, nobody out. He had just hit Preston Wilson, and then on 2 pitches, he gets 3 outs with the double play ball and the first pitch fly ball by George Fabregas. Mike Lowell's going to be a good player at the major league level. Don't want to take anything away from him. Reese Davis and company coming up next with Sports Center. Chris McKendry alongside with news from Major League Baseball. NHL playoffs are heating up. And here's Darren Bragg to lead off the top of the 9th inning. And a curveball is in there from Jesus Sanchez. Well, there's one of those 2-run games. The Marlins have won 1 of 11 this year.
And for reasons like that, you brought it up earlier, why young clubs don't win games, and that's why. I mentioned the execution of the most fundamental plays, bunting, with runners on first and second. When you fail to do that, you get yourself out of not only big innings, but chances to advance to extra innings just by tying a ball game up.
And a breaking ball hit out to left center. Racing over to the gap to grab it, Cliff Floyd. Next up, Renteria. We will see Mark McGuire another time. Eddie Gonzalez to the mound. He wants a right-hander now against these next 2 batters. We saw Antonio Fonseca throwing earlier. So an inning and 2/3 scoreless for Sanchez. Alfonseca against Renteria and McGuire. And we come back to Florida. ESPN Major League Baseball on Memorial Day, top of the 9th inning. Antonio Alfonseca will take on Edgar Renteria, then Mark McGuire.
Antonio Alfonseca there, 23 ball games, 4.33. 27 innings pitched there. Really good stuff. 95-mile-an-hour fastball when he really lets it go. Around 92, 93. A hard slider. Not a very good fielder. Doesn't hold runners on very well. So you can bunt on him, and if you get on, you can steal on him. But
Renteria, and you can kiss that one goodbye. His 2nd of the day. He triples his home run total in 1 game. And St. Louis leads 5-2. That's the hardest ball he's hit all year.
That ball was smoked. A lot of players say you can tell by the crack of the bat, and that ball had a ringing crack as it left that bat, or the bat had a ringing crack.
Upstairs to McGuire. Mark McGuire today, a double for an RBI and a single. He's 2 for 4.
4 outfielders again. Shortstop out there on the grass, third baseman on the grass. I mean, there are a lot of holes out there. He ought to, if they play this defense, he's going to hit 350. I mean, they're guarding the third base line.
You know, he does bunt on the first pitch of every batting practice session.
Just the first pitch.
Yes. 1 ball and 1 strike on a fastball at the knees. McGuire's hit 15, 37 RBIs, 472 career home runs.
The weird thing about the outfield alignment, we all know that Mark McGuire's a dead pull hitter. He has hit 1 chinker down the right field line today, but they're not playing him to pull.
Yeah, so why don't you bunch him?
Yeah, I mean, why don't you bunch him? If you're going to play, he's going to rattle balls off that 361 sign more often than he's going to hit anywhere else. They're just...
McGuire out to center field, but it's hanging up. And that's right where Preston Wilson would have been anyway.
Right.
That's the second out. Let's revisit the monster home run of Edgar Renteria.
Well, he just gets every bit of this fastball. That leg kick, the ball down. See that really great extension. What's his quickness? Boom! You heard the crack of the bat. All that ball has to do is get airborne, and it's going to alight somewhere way out there.
Home run alley, appropriately enough.
And can you imagine, as much as that ball is scalded, that's only about 60 rows shy of where McGuire hits him when he really gets it.
Yeah, we're talking about another man on another level. Ray Lankford's been known to go upper tank. He had 2 upper deck home runs at Cincinnati last year.
And that's way deep. I saw Champ Summers go up there, and I don't know that I ever saw another left-hander go up there. I saw about 5 or 6 right-handers go up, bench 3 or 4 times. Foster maybe 4 times in the upper deck. Davey Concepcion actually 1 time. Bob Watson 1 time. Kevin Mitchell went up there.
By the way, it's Edgar Renteria's second 2-homer game of his career. Hit only 3 all of last year. He's there now. That one had to feel pretty good. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Lankford jacks one into the right field corner. That is a fair ball. He will cruise into second base with his second double of the day, his 3rd hit. And St. Louis really piling up some extra base hits today. 5 doubles and 2 home runs by the Cardinals. We told you this is a good hitting club. 4th in the league in runs, 5th in home runs coming in.
Now, we've talked about people not running. Watch Ray Lankford right out of the box, full tilt. And he's thinking triple all the way, and this young man can fly. But he gives himself a chance. The way that you get triples and even doubles is that first 5 or 6 steps out of the box.
And keep in mind, Ray Lankford is still playing with a knee that's maybe 80 to 85%. They're going to walk Fernando Tatis. And then the pitcher spot is coming up after Tony La Russa made that double switch. It appears they'll hit for Batalico as Scott Radinsky is throwing. Or he was. And evidently, Radinsky, one of the things about him, he needs very few pitches to get ready. So he might already be set to come in.
Interesting decision here by Tony, you know, with a 3-run lead.
Now Batalico's going to stay in.
Doesn't surprise me. And that stays true to what Tony La Russa says. And Tony La Russa is one of those guys that when he tells you something, you know, you can book it. He doesn't say too much about his ball club voluntarily. But the other day when he said that he brings Batalico in the 8th and he's going to get him saves that way, and he stays by. And this is just a vote of confidence for Batalico here. That's all this is.
Who is, by the way, a left-handed batter. Ricky Batalico 0 for 1 this year, 1 for 10 in his major league career. Soon to be 1 for 11 unless we see something dramatically different.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with whether he's left-handed or not. It's just the fact that Tony's trying to build confidence back into Ricky Batalico. And one way to do it is let him be out there in the 9th inning. And you figure you've got a 3-run lead. You've got all that firepower and Radinsky behind him. Kraushaar. And that's a part of managing a ball club is building confidence. And Ibar goes out there, gets 2 innings. He takes him out of the ball game. Getting these men to feel good about themselves.
Batalico makes contact, fouls it out of play. Ray, I've heard other managers say it, and do you agree that the toughest part of the job is handling the pitching staff and the bullpen?
No question about it. And today's player, you know, you have to be a psychologist. Also, it's the easiest part is running the game. Handling the pitching staff is tough, but the easiest part is running the game. The toughest part is getting 25 different personalities playing for you and getting to respect you. It was really tough for me to do in Cincinnati. You know, I wanted the team to reflect my personality and go out and play hard, and you know, I was tough on guys, but that's the way I was brought up, old school. But yet I loved them hard, but you know, about half of them didn't respond to that.
Vitalico strikes out, and we're going to the bottom of the 9th inning. Edgar Renteria ahead of McGuire, the big hitting star in this one with 2 home runs, and his solo shot gives the Cards a 3-run lead. Marlins last chance coming up. Here's some late highlight package action here. Sports Center coming up next, and don't forget hockey tonight. Sabres and Maple Leafs as Buffalo's trying to put Toronto away. Ken Botfield's going to be up among the elite here if Ricky Vitalico takes care of business in the 9th inning. Jose Lima with 8, Kurt Schilling with 8, who seems to throw a complete game every time out now. Shane Reynolds will be behind Bottenfield if Kent grabs number 8 here today. And this was a typical Bottenfield outing. Kept his team in the ball game, in this case ahead. 5 or 6 good strong innings. Seldom gives up a big inning. And for the Marlins, it'll be Dave Berg, their utility man, leading off as the 9th inning pinch hitter. Vitalico misses away with a fastball, 1-1. Cardinals trying to make their road record 16-11. Trying to break a 3-game losing streak and get back over 500 at 25-24. And with Houston and the Cubs having an off day, ironically enough, on a holiday, another scheduling quirk of 1999, Cardinals could move back to within 4 games of the lead in the NL Central. Two-two pitch. Fly ball right field. Willie McGee in front of the track. 1 out. Today's copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Commissioner of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without expressed written consent. Luis Castillo, their good-looking young infield prospect, will bat for Craig Counsell here. As mentioned, Castillo actually beat out Counsell for the everyday second base job in spring training. Hitting .274 right now, getting his feet wet, doing a good job. 7 errors in the field, though. One ball and 1 strike from Ricky Vitalico. On the inside corner.
Kind of unusual. Craig Counsell starts the game today. He did strike out 3 times, but a little unusual to pinch hit a left-hander for a left-hander. That's kind of the ultimate embarrassment.
Well, some would say when you're hitting about $120, no further embarrassment necessary.
That's true. Hey, do what you can do for me today. Counsell at $299. That 1 year that I'm sure he's not real happy as he walks down there and says, what's going on? One thing you have to do when a guy's struggling, you have to sometimes stay with him. Again, trying to build some confidence.
2-2 pitch, line to left field, away from Langford, fair ball. It's a ground rule double as it bounces over the yellow line. Ninth double of the year for Castillo, who flies one the other way. And the Marlins are one base runner away from getting the tying run in the batter's box. Alex Gonzalez next. We've got some power guys coming up. So this game is not over yet. And with Cliff Floyd in mind, that's why Radinsky is warming up.
Well, if he gets this guy out, he's going to be able to face Floyd because that won't be the tying run. If he doesn't get this guy out, then Radinsky will come in here and face Floyd, even though the right-handed Millar will be on deck.
Tony La Russa is so big on late inning matchups. If it went that far and he'd really be in trouble, he would still have Rick Croushore, who can throw hard. He doesn't want to see it go that far.
No, he'd like to see this man right here get out and then have him face Floyd.
Two balls and a strike. Ricky Bottalico, 34 saves for the Phillies 3 years ago, and then 34 in '97. Physical problems last year. Traded with Garrett Stevenson for Ron Gant, Jeff Brantley, and pitcher Cliff Politte last November. Inside corner. He missed the catcher, but he didn't miss the spot. And the count evens 2-2. Cardinal pitchers today, only one walk. That was by Kent Bottenfield. That was to Counsell back in the third. Two pitch. Bouncer right in front of the mound. Easy out, 2 down. So La Russa's decision now should be made for him, as Bottalico will face Cliff Floyd. We'll have a good holiday, Ray Knight, and you and Boomer have fun Wednesday in New York.
Thank you.
Indians Yankees, a big series. Hope you folks have enjoyed our doubleheader today. Reds beat the Mets 5-3 earlier. They're a better playing ball club now, only 3 games back of Houston. Mets have lost 4 straight. And we've got the Cardinals leading the Marlins 5-2 here in the 9th. Cliff Floyd 1 for 4 with an RBI double. Out to second, McEwing digs it, and St. Louis breaks the losing streak by beating the Marlins, and Edgar Renteria, the big guy for them today. 5-2, St. Louis wins it. Don't forget SportsCenter coming up next. For Ray Knight and our entire ESPN crew, Bob Carpenter, this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Happy Memorial Day to you.